All right, we're on the air. Sorry about that. So I haven't talked to anybody. This is literally I walked in like 2 minutes ago, threw up the Hangout link for the show. I was like, I gotta piss, and went to the bathroom, and now we're on the air.
An email that we went live. That's like fast. Like people say they don't get notifications. I don't know what's up with that.
Supposedly, you're supposed to select something somewhere.
Well, I didn't select it because I don't even like you that much that I want to know every time you breathe into a video.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like you're the same way with me, so it's mutual.
Right.
We didn't start yet, but I like the show. I'm anticipating good things today.
Oh, that's good. Confidence booster. Ruthie D, yes, I know we're live. All right, guys. So obviously the title's bullshit. Nobody went to Goodwill, to a Goodwill outlet. It's just a total,
I went to the liquor store. That's the next best thing.
Yeah, that's actually better.
Are you serious?
Hell yeah.
I'm so disappointed.
What, did I went to the liquor store?
No,
that there's no Goodwill haul?
Got 650,000 pounds of stuff from the Goodwill.
I drove past one this week. Does that count?
Well, since Jim doesn't have carts at the Goodwill, that would really suck.
Right, yeah. I could only imagine an outlet without a cart.
45 pounds worth.
The crazy cart said clickbait. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
We're trying to get better at clickbait. We suck kind of at it.
I'm learning from the masters by stealing directly their titles. So.
You're learning from the masters about how to bait. Does that make you the master baiter?
Yes, it does. Well,
we knew that.
My son just walks in to get one of those tooth flosser things and hears me say it and goes, ha,
we finally reached our audience's level. That's what.
Yeah, there you go.
You know something's up when you look over at Jim's and you see the lights starting to dim. Then you got to keep an eye on what he's doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
With the background music.
Wow. That's such ultra-light beer that it's not even yellow.
It's sad that I can actually see you right through that beer.
Oh, it's pretty bad. It's diet beer.
Are you sure you didn't piss in that beforehand and just kind of showing us?
It's totally diet beer. But it's my summer beer. Like, one beer here and there. I don't drink thicker, good, darker beers really as much during the summer.
I prefer that.
Blackberry whiskey?
Yeah.
Nice.
Eric's bird dogging tonight.
That's right. I'm bird dogging. Wait, for a change up, if I decide I might go later on, I might go for some little Tennessee Jack Daniel's honey whiskey there. So
yeah, that's good stuff too.
I haven't tried that one before, but
Lindsay Larson said Jason and a rat just ran by.
No, it's a very annoying little Yorkie tonight.
Come here.
Rat, Yorkie. It's really kind of the same thing when you get down to it.
Yeah, he's 6 pounds, 2 ounces.
I was trying to call your dog and look who showed up.
Mahoney.
No, not you. Boys coming in, so
I'm on the Jamaican me crazy.
Woo!
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
It's like being on a Caribbean cruise.
Did you have to get an adult to go buy that for you?
Now, does Jessica know you're actually drinking some of that tonight? Because you get frisky,
Jessica's away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be a fun night for Jason.
Breaking out the stuff on people.
I heard that Jason said he's the best he's ever had. So, that's all I'm saying.
I do have a great technique.
So I did something kind of cool tonight.
What'd you do?
If I can talk about it for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm warming the crowd for you, Jim, for when you get here to Alabama. So I went out tonight met 2 other resellers. One of which was supposed to bring his wife, but she couldn't make it. The other one actually brought his wife, and I've never met her wife, his wife before. Tristan went, and we just went and had wings, and it was fun. So it was 2 couples, and then a half a couple. But it's 2 resellers that I've had Mexican and margaritas with or whatever before, so I kind of already knew them, so there wasn't that like weird awkwardness or whatever, and it was fun. And then we were sitting there talking about it, and I was like, what do y'all think about like invite some other resellers from the area. And they're like, well, do you know, have you ever met any in person? I'm like, well, Jim, like, I know we have some in the Facebook group, and you get to know people's personalities, I think, you know, through stuff like that. So you kind of know what to expect when you meet people. Like Jim, well, you and I hung out in Hangouts before I like met you the first time. Right. So I think it was a little different because that's actually like kind of meeting face to face. But I think we might make it kind of like a regular Huntsville thing, like maybe once a month, you know, do something fun. It doesn't have to be, you know, at that same wings place every time. It's just, they're never terribly busy, although their food's incredible, which I don't understand. And they have this giant overflow room that if you told them you had 20 people coming on a Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, whatever, they really wouldn't care. They'd be like, heck yeah, we'll save it for you, especially if it was a regular thing. The food's affordable. The beer's a disappointment unless you like things like Michelob Ultra. But, you know, like I said, with it being summer, I wanted to start drinking crappier beer anyhow. But yeah, it was fun. You know, there's always that, I think, kind of like hesitation when you get together with other resellers in your area. Like our daughter we had to go pick our daughter up for something, and she gets in the car, and I told her, I said, what do you think about that idea? And she's like, why would you do that and share all your secrets with other people that are strangers? And I'm like, wow, you know, out of the mouths of babes, although she's 18 years old. And I'm like, but you don't, and that's kind of one of those things. And there is that kind of like, we didn't talk about like our honey holes, you know, we didn't talk about but we did talk about the places we don't go, you know, and we did talk about local auctions. Like, okay, this one's good. That one kind of sucks. You know, it's that kind of fine line, you know, you don't share all your secrets, you know, with everybody, but then again, everybody has a little bit different picking style as well too.
Yeah. And an auction is different because everybody has a different threshold of paying for how much they'll pay for something.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, I may say, well, I don't really know.
You're echoing really bad.
No, it's echoing off your giant forehead.
That's right.
Is
that better?
Your 5 head.
Oh. That's better.
What? Yep.
But
no.
Still hearing it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna refresh.
Crazy Cart, while he's refreshing, Crazy Cart said, Dusty must keep a window open upstairs. You always see the cats going up the stairs, not down. The cats actually belong to our kids, and that's where the kids' bedrooms are. And they come down here to use the litter box and eat. And then the dog pretty much controls this floor. So they sneak in like little ninjas because cats are creepy as shit like that anyhow. And they sneak in and do their thing, and their food bowls are up on the washer dryer where the dog can't get to them. And then they sneak back upstairs, and they kind of live up there. But anyhow, go ahead. What were you saying, Eric?
I'm just saying, like, you can share auction information because so we all have different thresholds of paying. How much we pay for something, how much profit we take out of something. And again, we all buy different things, you know, for the most part anyway. So I never have trouble sharing auction information. But, you know, if I have a certain spot that I know that I get a great deal on every time I walk in, I'm not going to tell anybody about that one. But I don't really care about the auction stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's actually an auction that I haven't been to in years, and one of the people was like, you know, I can do that. And somebody's echoing really bad. It's Eric.
It's you and Eric.
I'm not echoing anymore.
Yeah, you are.
The little bars are going up when Dusty's talking.
Well, tell him to stop talking.
That's a virtual impossibility.
But I don't know. I think it opens up some different possibilities. And then one of the two people that I had dinner with tonight was like, "Yeah, I got this. Let me show you this on my phone." I'm like, "Do you want to sell those?" So, and the person's like, "Yeah, kind of, yeah." So then there's that possibility of like, it was an item that this person doesn't have the time to deal with, but I would like love like a bulk quantity thing. So there's that opportunity to like flip stuff back and forth to each other as well, make some connections. You know, Zilke, Zilke, are you out there? Zilke was one of the people that I had dinner with tonight, and you know, like for instance, he has a ton from like old Amazon inventory recall and stuff like that. He has a ton of air pillows, and he had asked me, "Do you want 2 huge garbage bags full of air pillows?" And I was like, "Yeah. By the way, do you have any more of that newsprint that I use when I use the brown paper for packing bigger stuff, but I use the newsprint a lot for my small little first class boxes." He's like, "Yeah. How many rolls do you want?" Like, I can give you a couple big huge rolls, and I was like, Perfect. I'll take them. You know, do you want some tape? I have some extra 2-inch tape since I'm using 3-inch now. And he's like, no, I'm good. So there's that kind of like, you know, kind of helping each other out in that way, but not necessarily like, you know, sharing everything.
Right. Sorry, I had to address a question in the chat.
We have a question in the chat.
Well, it was something that I can't say on here about another reseller. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool to move to an area where there are other resellers, and we can all kind of watch each other's backs with things like the newspaper print and the tape and things like that. And, you know, like if I decide to buy a storage unit, I can be like, hey, Dusty, can you come and help out? And same with Dusty, you know, I'm sure Tristan didn't like moving all that crap. Hey now,
I'm good at it.
this is a kid's show, knock that shit off.
Moving all that crap.
Giggity, giggity.
I did it again, Eric.
So there's
I know, I saw it, baby.
So she's licked my face. So there's a joke behind that. We were in a hangout. Eric and I were in a hangout earlier today, working on some stuff, looking some stuff up, and she comes in and she had to go do something, and she kissed me, and Eric's like, "Are you getting tongue or whatever?" And I turned my head like that, not paying attention. She licks the side of my face. So that's where that came from. I didn't complain.
We'll pay her back later tonight.
Between her and Mahoney, you're like a all-day sucker.
So anyhow, what were you saying, Jim? It can be fun with
other resellers. Like if I buy a storage locker and I call you up and be like, hey, can you help me out, or vice versa, or, you know, whatever. I mean, just hanging out with people that are like-minded. I don't get that kind of fulfillment around here.
Well, I have connections in this town that, you know, aren't on videos. They aren't in reseller groups. They don't do the social media, but they're in the junk business.
Right.
And I have 3 or 4 people that if I buy a storage unit that has washers and dryers or furniture or refrigerators or mattresses, that I can call them up. They'll literally show up with a truck. I can send them a few pictures on a smartphone, you know, say, hey, here's what I want, whatever. They'll show up with a truck. They'll hand me cash and they'll drive off.
Yeah.
You know, and that's huge. That opens a lot of doors for me to do, you know, more than just the storage unit we just did, but to also do, you know, all kinds of other
You got distracted.
All kinds of other storage. Yeah, I got a question on eBay. Hi, I think I can delivery the 43. They're obviously from a different country because the dollar sign is on the end of the amount to your PayPal account, and then you shipping the blank to me use USPS. Okay, I think this way can cost less than. Period.
Drink a little bit more, and you'll be able to understand that in about an hour. Or so.
It's probably somebody with global shipping, and you know what? Don't buy them. I'm not gonna mess with it. You know, 0 feedback, another country, not that's bad, but 0 feedback, another country registered. Oh, they've actually been okay. They're in China, registered 3 years ago, believe it or not. And
with
now,
0 feedback, with 0 feedback, and they've been
0 feedback member since December 28th of 2014 in China. So, you know, and the way I deal with stuff like that, I was trying to read it and the sentence wasn't like a whole sentence. That's why I've lost my train of thought. But LV Looper said just send a reply with every other word removed and they'll understand. Oh.
Yeah. So it's been kind of slow over here. I didn't actually go out and buy anything all week. Well, I bought that one Guitar Heroes set, and that's really it. But we've gotten a ton of stuff for me to list from Amazon, sending me all my stuff back. So that's been holding us over this week, keeping me busy. So yeah. Yep. And I think what I'm going to do, I just decided this in the car just before the show, going out to get ice cream 20 minutes before the show. And I'm like, why don't I just list, merchant fulfilled on Amazon the stuff that I can. You know, the stuff that's sitting around that was meant for Amazon. As long as it can still be sold there, why don't I just list it merchant fulfilled? So I think I'm going to do that. Give that a shot. See how it goes.
I think you're going to see less sales.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that when we went from merchant fulfilled to FBA, I mean, our numbers grew exponentially. So I think you're going to see less sales, but you're going to have no cost involved. You know, it doesn't hurt to do it.
Right. And I'm thinking, while things are rocky there, and you know, I never know day to day even if something's going to go stranded. You know, I'd rather not send the inventory in and take that chance. You know.
Yeah, there's so many times you've sent stuff in, and next thing you know, they've changed the rules, and now you're sending it back.
Yep.
And so now you pay postage 2 ways, and now your cost of that item is, you know, exponentially higher. So
right, and it's been held up for 2 weeks or whatever. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really more the time than the cost, because the shipping back and forth to Amazon is so cheap. The cost isn't really a factor. It's just the whole my stuff is tied up. You know, it could have been on Amazon for 2 weeks and probably sold or eBay rather, because eBay is so much busier recently.
Well, they don't get any hurry in recalling the stuff back either. Like, you know,
yeah,
they literally, it's just kind of, I mean, they're usually fairly fast, but like you said, you know, it's taken 3 or 4 days to get there. It's taken a day or two to get checked in the warehouse, maybe get moved around, then they restrict it, and they do that. And then, you know, you end up with 7, 8, 9, 10 days tied up.
Yep.
And you could have just flipped it on eBay, like you said.
Yep.
Florida's Hidden Treasure Margot said, I do merchant fulfilled and don't get much. Merchant fulfilled's kind of a dying. It works for some things. Of course, there's some things that are hazmat that you have to do that way. There's some bigger items that aren't worth sending in, but for the average general merchandise, it's tough.
Right.
You know, I think of the days of you either learn FBA or you get left behind. But now FBA is not even such a great thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Are you really shopping Craigslist right now?
of course I am.
I'm getting a message on the side to look at a piece of like heavy equipment or whatever.
I'm just showing Jason stuff. That's all. I don't normally search this type of stuff up. I only think about him when I'm doing it.
So how have sales been this week?
Sucked.
It's pretty slow here.
I'm not gonna say it sucked. It just wasn't the greatest, but
There's one person. What about you, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? I'm not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yes, you are. Oh, that was the airplane pilot you had in your thumbnail picture.
Right.
There he is.
Trying to
Roger, we have clearance.
Oh man.
So Jim, did yours suck too?
It was, I mean, average, I guess you'd say. Nothing, no outstanding days, pretty much between 100 and 200 the last 5 days now. So,
Right.
if it weren't for antique sheds, I'd be screwed.
Ours were, we had some auctions in that I tried something auction style. We've talked about that before on Monday. So that was a big hit. And I'm sitting here looking at the rest of the week. I know what our average, what I want our average to be to maintain. We've said we want to do $10,000 a month. So that's $334 a day. And I bet if I took, if I took Monday out of the picture, if I subtracted those special, those auction items, and it would have been an average day. Tuesday was average. Wednesday was down just a hair. Thursday was really good for some reason. Friday was right at average. And then today was actually pretty good, which Saturdays are usually crappy days for me.
yeah.
Audience, what seems to be your typically, and then panel as well, what typically seems to be your best day of the week?
For me, it's typically Wednesday, Thursday.
Mine's Mondays.
I was gonna say Wednesday, Thursday for me. It seems to be my best. I have my best shipping days usually on Thursday, Friday. Friday is usually decent, but Saturday is just not good. It's not a good selling day. Sunday I do well on though. I have to admit, I usually end up with 5 to 8 sales on Sunday alone. So
Yeah, for me, it's kind of just like when the day the auctions end.
yeah.
So there's no particular
Yes.
day.
Jason likes to play eBay 1998.
Yeah.
Game,
Sherry at Honeybee Treasures said Thursday is her best day. Margot's Sunday and Monday.
I'm
Sandra's
with
Sunday,
Margo
Monday.
Monday, and Sandra is Sunday, Monday.
Yeah. Silver Hair Stacker, Coco both say Sunday, Monday. Fishing and Pickens Thursday. And Zilke said Saturday is made for drinking. Thanks for chipping in there, bud. Hector says Mondays are good for him. Yeah, Mondays just, I mean, every now and again I get a good Monday, but it's not consistent.
Who I ironically just got done drinking with. So
Yeah, I mean, I usually don't. My sales typically ended on Saturday or Sunday evening. I'm actually trying something that Dusty suggested was in my sales more on Monday afternoon.
Well, I thought it was you that had told me that. You're the one that got me. You're the one, and guys, when we say sales, we're talking about markdown manager, where you put your whole store on 20% or whatever. You're the one that got me, and I've always wanted to create a sense of urgency, but I was doing 24-hour sales. I think that was too short because not everybody is going to check their email or check their notifications. So I went from 24-hour sales more to, I still do some 24s, but more so to 48-hour sales. But I thought you were the one that had told me to end them later. Maybe that was Jim. But yeah, I started doing my sales because Monday was a good day for me. I've got most of my sales. I try to end them Monday afternoon, evening, night, something like that, like later in the day on Monday. And it seemed to have helped.
Yeah, I mean, I moved my, typically I end my times at like 6:30 Pacific time, which is 9:30 Eastern. Which means that pretty much everybody's home from work and, you know, they've got dinner done or they're, you know, in the process of doing it. And so they're kind of, you know, maybe it's time to get on the computer to look at that time. But typically what happens is on a Sunday, the sale would end at like 9:30 my time and I would forget to put another sale on. And I wouldn't put it on until Monday afternoon. And I think that's why my Mondays just suck. I don't get that many sales Monday morning, which is great for shipping because I don't have to worry about getting it all packed up and shipped Monday.
Right.
But I'm curious. So I'm running a test this week to see how well that goes, and see if I see, you know, a decent increase in sales from the Monday morning. I'm sitting in the office and I hate life, so I'm going to shop on eBay instead of doing my work. I'm saying I'm going to get some of those sales coming in. So
yeah,
and I think there's a lot of that. Nobody likes Mondays. I mean, I know Amazon. When I was on Amazon, Mondays were always kind of a big day, and that was always kind of my theory that you know, that people hated their job and they just sat around or whatever. You know, the kids finally went back to school. Mom has a chance to sit down and be by herself and have a glass of wine at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And, you know, and that people were doing a little bit of online shopping on Mondays. And I think there's something to that. I can't prove it, but I mean, I see a decent amount of Monday sales.
yeah, you typically, when we're hanging out Monday morning, you doing the morning show or whatever. I mean, your sales are rocking on Monday morning. You're getting 5 or 6 sales throughout the whole show and everything. And I'm like sitting there like, you know, did my cha-chinger break or something? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm going to try and see if that works. If it works, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just, I think it's mainly because I forget to redo my sale. And so I lose, 24 hours of not being on sale. And I think that definitely hurts me.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the Crazy Cards question. Storage Wars caused a surge in people buying lockers. Do you think that new show on with that eBay selling woman, I think that's a Netflix show coming out, will have a similar effect?
God, I hope so.
Isn't the premise of the show though? eBay didn't work for her, and so she goes and does her own thing.
Yeah, the purpose of the show, I mean, and this is based on a true story, loosely based on a true story. She became a hot eBay seller, and she was a bad seller, and she got a lot of bad reviews and a bad feedback, and eBay eventually kicked her off, and so she started her own website and kind of built it from there. And she's been in the crapper. She's filed for bankruptcy, the whole 9 yards. I mean, she's kind of up and down on the whole thing, but anything in my mind that gets people thinking about eBay is a good thing.
I think it'll be okay. So the question was,
do you think it's going to bring a ton of sellers to eBay?
Do I think it's going to? No, because of the premise of the show and what I watched in the trailer, I think if anything else, it's going to make people think no. But it is going to bring attention back to eBay, which is a good thing, possibly. Storage Wars was an ongoing series that showed the grand prize. Of course, a lot of it's faked, but the grand prize every single show, and so and so got this, and so and there was a lot of sensationalism there. That started all that hype. I don't think it will. I don't think it'll make a bit of difference. I don't think it's a big enough show. Plus, it's a Netflix only. Not that that's a bad thing, but that's a whole lot different than being a network show. I think there's a couple different variables there personally that I don't think it's going to cause like a mass. What's the opposite of an exodus? A mass entrance into.
Yeah, no, I just think anything that brings eBay to light and kind of shows people that you can find different weird things on eBay. I think that's always going to be a good thing for us. And if you're a good seller, you're not going to be the nasty girl seller and get all jacked up and screw up your eBay account. So I mean, I think it's going to be a good thing for us. It's
a 40-year-old virgin gave eBay a little bump too, right? Didn't it? Yeah.
Well, a ton of those stores, those retail stores came out. This will sell your shit on eBay for you. Stores came out, the consignment stores. Yeah. But
there's still a bunch of those out there too.
There are. I'd be willing to bet with this show, though, that they only highlight eBay stuff for the first maybe episode or two, and then it's all about her moving on.
And do they specifically even call it eBay, or is it a look-alike? Have they been?
No, they do call it eBay.
They do. All right.
It's really what happened and everything. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, because the majority of her story is not. I mean, I think Jim's right. The majority is going to be the first couple episodes is going to be how she built it, and then eBay kicked her off, and then how she built her empire after that. And she was $100 million a year business selling online on her website because she was smart. She used gorgeous models and. But the premise, I read a huge backstory to her thing. Basically, she got too big. She went way too big, too fast, and people just couldn't keep up with the demand. And when you're selling vintage clothing, you've got to be able to source all that clothing. And then she started making vintage clothing, vintage look-alike clothing, and started doing that. And that kind of really lost her audience at that point.
Yep.
Eric Gunter said every show like that is 100% staged. I mean, they all are. American Pickers is staged to the point where the producers go in ahead of time. They already know what they're going to buy. It's all prearranged, et cetera, et cetera. I will tell you, and I think we've all here done some storage units. Me personally, I've had some great home runs out of storage units. I mean, it's the work that they don't show you behind it. They show all the bidding, they show all the home run stuff. They don't show, and then they show Brandy and Jared, who have a team and a crew. And most of the people that I know that do it, I mean, I know one that actually does kind of have a crew, so to speak, like a couple guys they can send after the unit with a trailer or whatever. But it's not glamorous. I mean, it's dirty, it's nasty. You're going to find dildos. You're going to find every dresser drawer. You're going to find, bags full of clothes that people literally took out of the washing machine and put into a bag and then tied up, and they're moldy. And they're nasty. You're going to sneeze. You're going to have sinus issues for a day and a half or 3 days afterwards. I mean, there's a lot of that part of it. But yeah, there can be home runs. People leave stuff in storage units for whatever reason. It's it's almost irony because they can't pay their bills, but they have stuff of value that was enough to pay their bill for the storage unit. Or they lose it for other reasons. I mean, I bought one time, and you could tell the lady probably got put in a nursing home. It was literally everything. The stuff had been there for 15 years. I mean, the latest power bill that I found was 15 years previous. And it was like, you can build the story by looking at the stuff. I mean, it was like grandma went to a nursing home. They put her stuff in storage, plain and simple. And I found a lot of gold in that. This is back when gold was down, or I would have come out, like smelling like a, major rose. I mean, it was more of a mini home run. It wasn't a home run. It would have been a home. If gold was up the price it was now, it'd have been a major home run. But I mean, you do find that every desk drawer we opened, every cedar chest we opened had gold of some sort or something hidden in it, some World War II something. So it does happen, but yeah, those shows are pretty faked.
I think if you take the drama out, what the shows were good for was showing the process. The auction process, the going up, looking at the locker, but you can't go inside. Like that's standard pretty much everywhere you go.
Yeah.
All the bidding and that whole process. It was good for an outsider to look at that, but then, of course, like every other reality show there is, they had to add the drama to it to get people to keep coming back. So, yeah.
Eric Gunner said Dave from Storage Wars disappeared for a couple of seasons because he accused the producer of planting items in units. No, he actually spilled the beans on it.
Right.
He spilled the beans on supposedly the producers had bought Brandy some boobs. and he threatened to spill the beans on that, and so they kind of like end up fighting all over all that. So thanks to Crazy Card, thanks to you, I'm gonna yell yep every time there's a lull in the show. We are going to get to Batterbox Films question. We have not forgotten about you. Angela, My Life, we have not forgotten about you. LB Looper, we forget about you regularly.
Is this show staged, Jim?
This show?
Yeah. Over here, Stacker was asking.
I mean, look at us. You think anybody would do this on purpose?
Yes, it's staged. I did go out to before the show and buy the liquor. So I didn't find it anywhere. I went to a store and bought it. So.
All right, let's do Thrift Daddy's question. Anybody ever see a fist fight at a storage auction?
Nope.
No. I've seen an argument.
I saw one at an estate sale once. That was fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a little bit more dicey because if it's big stuff and you're like, I was going to buy that. You get a lot of that. I was going to buy that, and that crap. But I don't really worry about stuff like. I'm not going to fight somebody over stuff.
Oh, wow. Life Beholder said, same with rental properties. Interesting what you find. This last month, my grandfather bought an old manor/hospital. So cool, old medical stuff that was left. Oh, I'd be all over that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, Granddad, I will help you clean that place out completely if I can have all this stuff.
Yeah, I tell you, some of the best stuff. It's like my stepson cleans out houses for foreclosures, and he brings me great stuff all the time. And he sells on eBay as well, but he doesn't like to deal with it. He actually would rather just go out and do work and stuff like that. Woo, that kicked in. Don't turn the head that fast. So he finds all kinds of great stuff, and it's not like he's finding gold and silver, but I mean he's found guns and stuff like that. And I turn around, I flip for him, and and I split the money with him and things like that. So there is money left sitting out there. It's just a matter of how you get it. Cleaning out old houses, apartments, things like that. It's a great way for free income.
Yeah, if you can get the connections going.
You got to be connected.
Yeah, that's probably the toughest part there.
All right, Hector X asks, what is the most disgusting storage unit you have ever seen? It was in an auction once where there was a fridge that had meat, had meat left in it. Yeah, it smelled like a dead body. I actually this week did not, I'm trying to think of how much detail to go into. I did not go into the house, but I had a friend that bought an entire estate from a gentleman that had passed away in the bathtub with the heater going, and they didn't find him for 5 days. And let me just tell you, most people when they live alone don't close the bathroom door, so that smell does permeate everything in the entire house. And if you've never smelled decomp or don't know what it smells like, and that smell is still in my nose.
Oh yeah, that's been for a long time. My daughter used to clean crime scenes and found body scenes and stuff like that. She was what they call a crime scene cleanup tech, and I would actually every now and then I would have to meet her at the storage unit where they stored their truck and things that they were bringing home that they had to hazmat out, and that is a unique smell. There is no doubt about it, and it doesn't get out of anything.
I think the most disgusting storage unit I've ever seen was a witch doctor voodoo unit. There was dead chickens and with their heads cut off, and ritual areas and bones everywhere, and
fish with their heads cut off.
No, I don't know. The only thing I recognized was a chicken, but there was other things in there. Yeah, and and the guy opened up the door. Everybody took a quick look and basically ran away. But you know what? The unit sold for $50, so somebody bought it.
In a heartbeat.
LV Looper said, started going to auctions due to these shows and enjoy it, but I just don't think I have the space of the house to start going balls deep in storage auctions. You don't necessarily have to. We used to do storage auction units even when we didn't have the warehouse space and what we have now. It's doable, but you have to be a quick decision maker. You have to be ready to rent a U-Haul. If it's a 10 by 15 unit, you need at least probably a 15-footer. You have to be willing to make a quick decision. You do have to have networking connections on like, how can I get rid of this furniture? Like, for instance, if you buy the auction on a Thursday, they give you 3 days to get it out. Your best plan of attack, if you don't have a storage space yourself, would be to go ahead and set yourself up for a yard sale. Go ahead and put it on Craigslist, do it on Saturday, have that truck, back that truck up in your driveway if you hopefully have a long enough driveway, and just bring that stuff out and start selling it. I mean, it can be done. It's just a lot, the logistics of it are a lot tougher. And then keeping out the good stuff for yourself. And it's hard. It can be done. It's tough.
But the key with it is sword, you're touching it for the first time. And that's what Jesse was saying about being a quick decision maker. You've got to be able to grab that item, go, is this eBayable, or is it yard saleable, or is it trash? And you do that first sort right when you're unloading the unit.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's going to be trash. I'm going to put it into a trash pile. You know it's going to be good for eBay. I'm going to put it in an eBay pile. You know it's going to be Craigslistable or yard saleable. I'm going to put it into that section, and then you have to be able to say, okay, that's where the money's at. I'm good. And then now you know you already made a decision on what you're doing with the trash.
But I like that storage unit we did in the video. Like I made the decision. It's worth $29.99 an extra day to keep that truck, to pay the $30, go to the warehouse, back it up to the door, and back my truck up next to it. And literally, it's either trash or it's going inside. I could have taken that entire storage unit, put it in the truck, taken it in the warehouse. You know what? And then I would have had this fear of dread. You're manhandling everything 15 times.
Yeah.
Why not, as you're bringing it off the truck, even if you have to keep the truck, and $29.99 a day is really not a big deal when you're talking about it, the whole overall, storage unit or whatever. Keep it for an extra day if you need to, and go through it, but let the trash go one direction, and don't hem and haw like, I think this might be worth something. If you think it might be worth something, then keep it. But if you know it's not worth anything, then just get rid of it. It's a yes. Is there stuff on the truck down at the warehouse that's probably worth something? Yeah. If there's any resellers that live in Huntsville, Alabama that want that whole entire truck full of crap, like, hit me up in private messages or whatever. I'll drive it to your house. You unload every bit of it. You can have it. If I missed something in there, congratulations. I'm going to have to pay to dump it anyhow. I miss a few things, and I'm being serious about that too. If Jim lived here, I'd dump it in his front driveway, like while he was asleep, and I'd be like, "Hey, I left you a present outside."
We spend 5 hours unloading that truck, going through the unload and looking up every item and getting an idea of what it could be worth, and then making a decision on it right then.
That was a long night.
Yeah, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning night. So.
The work is done, because now when I pull a box of that stuff that's in the warehouse, I know that 98% of the stuff in that box is keeper stuff. It's worth listing because I've already been through it. Yeah,
everything you took into your doors, into your warehouse, is eBayable. It's worth a decent amount, more than $25, $30 on eBay. So it's just a matter of when you get down and get it up and get it listed.
Elena R has a question. Jim,
who went to the Goodwill outlet? Nobody.
I drove past one today.
I drove past one today too, I think.
I borrowed that title from another reseller on YouTube that is good for sensationalistic titles.
Okay, so here's pretty much what goes on behind the scenes. This is how this went down. I'm drinking beer and eating wings with my wife and Bearded Picker and another person at a wings restaurant, and I'm like, get on my phone, and I'm like, because Zilke, he goes, there's gonna be a show tonight. I'm like, oh crap, we used to do them on Saturday. Heck yeah. And I was like, so I messaged the group before I was here, and I'm like, having a show tonight? And Jim's like, sure. Well, the next thing I know, the show's set up. No idea what the title's going to be. And I'm driving home just laughing my butt off. And so that was all you, man.
Oh, yeah, it was all me.
But it's pretty awesome, though.
Well, got to get the viewers.
I did go to a thrift store this week. I went. My mom needed my help helping a friend move. And so my mom was in Dayton, which is an hour and a half away. So I drove there, and when I left my house, it was 60-some degrees, and I'm wearing just a polo shirt, no big deal. And I get to Dayton, and it's 40 degrees, and I'm like, uh-oh, so I need to go to the thrift store. So I walked into the thrift store. I needed a jacket because it was too damn cold, and picked up a little jacket for $3, and then I shopped the thrift store while I was there. But there was a Goodwill outlet across the street, and I've been in there one time, and it was not worth going to. And I picked up enough stuff out of the thrift store to pay for my trip. So that's kind of the way I looked at it. And then my mom gave me some great stuff. So, you know, I should make $500 or $600 off my trip.
Silver Hair Stacker said my regular trash guy is fantastic. No telling what all he's hauled off for me. We do have a pickup service like that on Monday mornings. My problem is with putting a whole truckload full of stuff out there. The city of Huntsville, if it's over so many feet worth of trash, they will actually bill you a little extra. Not to mention, we have 3 trucks, the crane thing that comes and dumps the can, 2 guys on the back of a truck, and then there's a claw that picks up like couches and limbs. My other problem is I'll have scrap metal people, if I put it out there too early, they'll dig through it and they'll make a disaster. And then I'll have to spend 2 hours cleaning up the mess that the trash guys can't get, and it creates more work for them versus $22 per ton at the local dump, back the truck up to the edge, shove it all off the back, and drive away in like 6 minutes. So I think I'm just sometimes, you know, and sometimes that's kind of working smarter, not harder, but I'm a cheapskate too, because trust me, I'd love to put it out front of the house. But this, I've got so much of it that it's a little overwhelming. Elena asked, did anyone ever just snap a quick picture at the storage unit and put it up on the Facebook yard sale sites and sell it right there?
No, I don't use those Facebook yard sale sites. They're too much of a pain in the ass.
They're tire kickers. I've done it with Craigslist.
Yeah, but what I would do with my storage lockers is I would pull all the boxes first, because I had a Trailblazer back then. I just lay down all the seats, load them up. It might take 4 or 5 trips, but whatever. And then all the furniture, if I had 3 days, I would take a picture that day after the boxes are out, take a picture of the stuff, put it up on Craigslist, say meet me at the storage locker. So I try to get it sold before I had to rent a truck, and then on the last day, if I had to rent the truck, then that's when I would do it. So that's about as close to taking a snapshot. But I wouldn't do it for the whole lock. Like, I wouldn't leave everything in there and take a picture. No, I mean all the fun is in going through the boxes, to me.
And you have to be finished before the office closes, right?
Some gates are 24 hours. They give you a temporary password
code.
Yeah, but how do you collect your deposit?
Not all of them charge deposits here.
No. But if you clean out before, like after hours, you just go back in the next day, and they'll walk to the locker and make sure it's broom swept and all that, and then
okay.
Yeah, give you your deposit back.
And if it's far enough away, most of them are pretty cool. If you just say, hey, I'm going to be done, but it's going to be after hours, and you talk to the manager.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, I live a little ways away. Can you mail me a check for my deposit? I'm going to leave the unit open when I'm done. I'm going to broom sweep it out, because most of them do require that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can call you tomorrow. And then just call them the next day and say, hey, I left the unit open. If everything's good, just drop a check in the mail. And they're going to do that. I mean, they're not going to screw you over on it.
Yeah.
I think as far as like snapping a quick picture and putting it up on Craigslist, which I've done, I bought a unit. It was about $1,500, but it was the entire contents of a screen printing business. It was 2 screen printing machines. It was a 5-color, 5-arm machine, or press, which is kind of like a big, I don't really know how to describe it, almost like a big merry-go-round thing, and you spin the thing, and one screen puts on one color, and you spin it, then you do the next color.
Mm-hmm.
There were probably 200. That would have been a cool video, but that was before we started doing any kind of YouTube. There were probably 200 of the wooden screens. There were probably 400 or 500 gallons worth of ink, which comes in anywhere from a quart to a half-gallon or a 1 gallon to a 5-gallon container. There was just a ton. There were light boxes in there. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff. And I did, once I dug my way in there far enough, I did take pictures of the actual machines and stuck them on there, because I need those gone, because I couldn't. It was literally floor to ceiling on a 10 by 15 unit. I got lucky. The storage unit place, I went and talked to the manager. I'm like, I need to keep this. I need to keep it. And that was something back to, I think it was LV Looper or whoever asked, what do you do if you don't have a space in the house? A lot of these places will and they usually have specials. A lot of places will have specials like, go ahead and pay the rest of this month and get 1 month free.
Yeah.
So you can literally sometimes walk away paying $30-$40 and buy you a month and a half on the unit. But I got lucky with that one. She let me rent that, and then the one next to it, because I knew I was going to make several $1,000s. The one next to it was actually available as well. It didn't have a lock on it. And I said, "Can I get that one?" And she said, "Yeah." So I rented them both, and I just started pulling stuff out and stacking it neatly in the other unit. And then once the main unit, the one that I had bought, I got everything out and sold the actual presses. I consolidated all into one, and I actually ended up getting rid of all of it at about the same time. And I only had to pay about a month and a half worth of stuff at $70, $80 a month. But we made a lot of good money off of it. And most of it was not eBayable. Some of the smaller parts were. The majority of it was totally local Craigslist. But it's the type of equipment that people know what they want. Like every person that showed up was like, "Hey, I have a screen printing shop over in Decatur, or have one in Athens, or have one in like a surrounding, whatever. I drove 100 miles. And then I got down to the end of it where there was just a lot of odds and ends left. And some chick drove out of Georgia with a truck and trailer. And I looked at her and I said, "Do you want all the rest of it?" And we agreed on like $1,000. She gave me $1,000. It was literally odds and ends. And I said, "You got 24 hours to get it all out. Here's the key to the padlock. Here's the access code, whatever." I said, "If I come back in 24 hours and it's not gone, I'm going to take it all back, because I've got to be out of this unit in like 4 days." And I came back, and she left a few crappy pieces behind she didn't want. And that storage unit was cool. They actually let you use their dumpster, and I hauled those pieces to the dumpster. It was like just trash and cardboard and partial reams of paper that, were spilling all over the place. And I swept it out and walked to the office and said, "I'm done." She said, "Okay, great. See ya."
Yep.
That was it.
All right, let's get to Batterbox Films questions from a while ago. What do you guys think about Let Go and some of the other alternative selling apps? I know we've kind of talked about it before, but I don't think he's newer to the show. So what do you guys think of those other selling apps?
I don't use any other apps at all.
Yeah.
Is eBay or nothing.
I used Let Go once. It was okay. I mean, they didn't have much of what I buy.
Just once.
Yeah.
I think apps like that can be maybe beneficial for buying. Me personally, I've looked at our Facebook Marketplace. Our Craigslist, Craigslist can be hit or miss. I mean, the majority of ours, you're going to spend 3 hours to find that one item that you might make X off of. That's the way our Craigslist is here personally.
Wow.
So as far as buying, I can't really speak to that, but everything I've tried to find, there's just not a lot of great deals out there. As far as selling, I don't see the sense in it. I can reach a worldwide marketplace of millions on an established website such as eBay or such as Amazon. So why would I want to put my stuff on a website that's fairly new, that when you actually look at the membership numbers has just a fraction of what eBay or everything else has? Yeah, maybe less competition. I can understand that, but you're also reaching a ton less people. So yeah. I don't see the sense in it personally.
I do sell on Poshmark, and that's been going okay. Again, it's not, I mean, it'll pay a bill here and there, but nothing outstanding. I'm not gonna, make a living just on there, but it's a good, once in a while, maybe, 2-3 times a week, I'll sell something on there. I actually sold something on there today, a suit jacket. I tried Bonanza and canceled it because last month I sold 3 items for about, I don't know, $200. No, not even, like $150, and they hit me with $23 in fees. So I'm like, all right, for as little as I sell there, it's not worth it for the fees that they charge. So, yeah, and then Mercari, I haven't heard anybody talk about that in months. Let Go, Offer Up, all those kind of apps, they advertised heavy when they came out, and now I don't see them. So yeah, I'm not going to bother.
But I think, Mercari, that was their big thing, and everybody's like, "Oh, Mercari, oh, Mercari, oh, Mercari." It's free. It's totally free. It's totally free. And you know what? What did they do? Sure enough. I mean, it's not a bait and switch. It's just good marketing. When you create an app, you give it away for free. You build a base, and then you implement something You know, it's like the MyFitnessPal app. You know, it's free. It's totally free. But then you plug in, oh, for premium, you can get this or whatever. I mean, that's just a normal thing with any kind of website or app. That's how they build a user base. And I just, you know, I don't think you can't expect something to remain totally free forever. Now, I will say Craigslist, that is one website that amazes me that they've remained free, although they're not with like in some bigger cities with employment categories, stuff like that. But, you know, by God, if I owned Craigslist, I mean, I would totally, like, I don't know, make it 25 cents an ad or something. You know, think of the millions of ads that go through there a day. Or even, does Craigslist use banner ads, or do they get any kind of funding off of, I mean, whoever owns that, and I get it, and I can't remember who owns Craigslist now, but
Probably Craig something.
I'm sure. No, I think it got bought up by somebody else, but get they probably know what they're doing, but like seriously, that's remained a free website for like 10 years. And I mean, I'd be charging people something or figuring out a way to do it without running people off, you know.
Thelma Thrift said everybody knew that Mercari was free in beta. They never hid that fact. Mercari never hid that fact, but the people that boasted about selling on there didn't explain that. So, and
there was a lot of that hype. There was a lot of hype. Oh my God, it's free, it's free, it's free. But I think those sellers just didn't read between the lines, or didn't want to admit it, or didn't realize it because they didn't read the fine print.
Yep. Alana says they charge for cars and real estate out by her. Here they charge for job listings.
Didn't eBay own like 25% of Craigslist? Something like that?
Oh, I don't know.
Pretty sure.
Perhaps.
Or at least at one point. I haven't really looked into it in a while.
Right. All right. Angela asked, what other platforms do you sell on besides eBay? I think we kind of hit that. Do you cross-list? I cross-list eBay to Amazon and vice versa, and eBay and Poshmark. So I don't think any of these two do that. I think Eric is passed out probably. He was feeling good, which is good.
What? Silver Hair Stacker said, so what's the best platform for 700 pounds of free weights? I'm assuming that's something you got out of the storage unit today. Yeah, I would totally Craigslist, free section. The crazy card said not Etsy.
Definitely not Etsy.
Okay, yeah. Hector X says Craigslist charges for jobs and real estate, so they do have some income in it. I mean, it's just it's interesting though that I just oh my God, Thrift Daddy, I've answered your question like 15 times. Scroll back up and read.
All right. Grandma Magic's Classics. Does anyone else have listings just vanish? It's like, if it's so old, it just poof, gone. Yeah. I think we went through that last week or the week before where that happened to me. Yeah.
What went poof?
Listings. Disappearing listings.
On eBay?
Yep. I think if you relist too many things at one time, the system lets a few fall through the cracks. So that's my theory on it.
I've had some serious. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying the bulk editor, I've caught it like screwing up once in a while.
The bulk editors, has caught some stuff, and it gives you that stupid internal error to the application error. Just be careful when it does that, and it says you have errors you must fix. What I typically do is click save and save those and continue later. I forget exactly how it words it, but and then go back in and manually relist those, and they'll go through just fine. But do run the duplicate listing tool from that website that we always talk about. And if you don't know what it is, Google eBay duplicate listing tool. Do run that occasionally. just to make sure that it wasn't a glitch on their end and you don't have a duplicate listing.
Yep. All right, Lindsay Larson, when you're shopping on Craigslist, do you look for specific items or look at every item besides cars, trucks, etc.? Sometimes when I go to Craigslist, which is kind of dead now around here, but I think like I'll go to the collectibles category, the antiques category, and just kind of scroll. Otherwise, I'm going to type in the search what I'm looking for specifically. Because if I go to like toys and games, like I'm not going to sit there and scroll through every single list because there's just so many that if I know exactly what I'm looking for, then I'll go ahead and type it in there. Yeah.
Did Eric just totally disappear on us?
He fell over and then the connection just went dead.
Yeah.
He literally fell over?
I think
How
so.
did I miss that part?
Remember, he started like babbling incoherently in the chat and just towards the end.
Mike Fisher said, Dusty, I saw your old video about the science classroom auction stuff. How did that ever end up? You know,
Come here back.
that was the one that had all the overhead projection sheets. Those ended up being kind of the home run on that. I'm trying to remember if Eric was here. He'd actually would remember. Did all three of you really freaking leave me at the exact same time?
I just did it to be funny.
Like seriously. You know, that turned out to be the total home run. I don't know what our total on that was. I'm gonna guess just based on how many there were. We made it probably $1,500. The other stuff that was in that unit was some like interactive toys and stuff, and they did okay. Damn, I don't even remember what else was in there.
Was that the one with the dental teeth?
No dental teeth. It was our local school had put a bunch of stuff on Gov Deals, and I just bought some blind. Well, I went and previewed them, but I bought some blind pallet Gaylord boxes is what they call them, big pallet boxes full of stuff. Specifically because I knew there was these overhead projection sheets in there. I still have a couple packs of them left. I haven't listed them because the packs are kind of crushed. I've actually got about 5 of them. I mean, they're still, well, that one's not sealed. But it was like that. It was some Xerox type stuff. I did send some of those into Amazon. I did really well with them on Amazon as well. I mean, we've only paid $100 and something if I remember correctly for literally a couple pallets full of stuff. You know, we probably made $1,500 off of it. I wish I could remember what else was in there.
I remember what you're talking about now. There was like those keyboard drawers.
I sold one of those to another reseller. I sold the other one on eBay. I got 30, 40 a piece out of those.
What was in there?
Oh, look, everybody's back.
Yeah. Well, I am.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh, that was an offer I just took, actually.
How many questions we got in the queue, Jim?
Just one, I think.
Oh, we're caught up?
Yeah.
All right. This is getting to be hard work here.
Right. Eric Gunter asked, if I sign up for GoDaddy bookkeeping today, will it pull info off PayPal back to the first of the year? Will I have to manually enter the past months? It'll pull everything. I mean, it pulled stuff from 2016 for me. So
yeah,
and I signed up for it in February.
You know, and that's
I'm sorry. Just if you are going to sign up for that, check out. I think it was Retail Me Not. They had a discount for like 20% off or something. You know, like a coupon code. So look for coupon codes before you sign up.
Yep.
Sorry.
You know, and one thing, if you're somebody that does your taxes as a DBA, you know, you don't actually do quarterly filings or whatever else, and you just do your taxes every April or whatever. I'm not saying that this is necessarily the way to do it, but if you're on a budget, it can be done. You could sign up for GoDaddy bookkeeping one time, have it pull all the back data for the last entire year. If you're not a monthly bookkeeping system type person, that's a way to actually save some money. I mean, that's a total accounting. Like, I didn't recommend that, but it can actually be done. Because it'll pull the back data.
Yep.
Go for it. Dusty's great. Dusty's great. I picture my 10-year-old son being like Dusty when he grows up. A chill dude, but talks 90 to nothing about everything. No, don't do that to your grandkids. Don't wish that upon them.
Yeah.
It's just, I've always been hyper, man. I was the hyper little kid in elementary school that always got in trouble. And, my mom, it's funny, my mom then years later tells me, because we had the same pediatrician for 15 or her 20 years of having kids, and Dr. Griesmer. And she tells me a couple of years ago, like, why do you bring this up at Christmas? At the Christmas table with all the brothers and sisters. She's like, yeah, the pediatrician told me, she said, I went to him crying several occasions. I didn't know what to do with you. And he told me that he's either we lived in Springfield, Missouri back then. And his words to her were, he's either going to own half of Springfield or end up in prison. And I was like, it was the 70s, but who tells somebody, you don't tell a crying mom that. And that's I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I didn't end up in prison, so I guess that's okay.
I could see Dusty out there snorting pixie dust as a kid, that little sugar rush thing.
Pixie sticks, yeah.
And then running around in circles.
Or buying a pack of Fun Dip and throwing out the chalk, stick and just.
So my wife who's in the chat apparently said, okay, I'm going to start videotaping Dusty when he's not paying attention, so you guys can see what he's like behind the scenes. LMAO. I'm not any different. This is what you said. Y'all been in private. Do I change from regular everyday life to now? No, it's it's wide open 90 miles a minute until the moment I crash.
Yeah.
And then I sleep
this all the time.
And then I sleep in the fetal position like a baby for 8 hours, like a bat.
Or he's in the tub.
You know what? Because that is relaxing and everybody leaves you alone.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do emails on your phone.
I think the only difference is when you're in a private hangout or when we hang out, you get more potty mouth and you clean it up for your channel, which is, it's not a personality change. It's just a, vernacular.
Apparently I'm a dirty old man in real life.
Not a dirty, no, I didn't say that. I just said you like to say, you like to curse. Not that you like to curse, but you're not afraid.
I watch what I say a little more when it's on shows.
Right.
But just because I do realize there's people that have kids in the background listening. I mean, I do still let one fly, and if I get a few beers in me, it's gonna probably fly a little more. I don't go back and watch these shows because there's some nights that it's I don't, I don't black out, or it's not anything like that. But there's some days that I'm wake up the next day, I'm like, dear God, did I really talk about that in a show? I should totally not have talked about that. Right now.
That being said, yes, you do watch your mouth, but I do want to point out that we did play Cards Against Humanity with my kids in the other room, so in the adjoining room.
Zilke goes, walk in the restaurant tonight, listen for the noise, walk around the corner to the loud, dusty area. LOL. But that's how I am. Enjoy life. If you're gonna work your ass off, I'm sorry, your bottom off for 80 hours. So I backpedaled and cleaned it up.
Don't clean
for
it up.
80 hours a week or whatever in this business, like a lot of us do, and I think a lot of people watching do. If you're gonna do that, then when you have fun and you go hang out with friends, let your hair down and have fun. I sit and watch people. There was this couple in the restaurant tonight, and they were sitting there, and I'm sure it was a first date because they're holding hands across the table or whatever. Or you watch couples and they're sitting there and they're on their phone the entire time. And it's like, you know what? No, laugh and cut up and have fun and I mean, don't disturb other people, which I probably do that. But, just if you're going to, work hard, party hard. Wayne and Garth. I'm pretty sure that was actually work hard, party. No, party on. No, that was Bill and Ted, wasn't it? Come on, Jason, you're the 80s.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
Party time.
Party time, excellent.
Yes. I'm checking in on Eric because
I'm
people
waiting
are
for
asking
air
me to.
guitar now.
If you aren't having fun, then what are you doing with your life? All of it has to have a bit of fun in it, says Julie V. And I totally agree. You know, don't get yourself in trouble. Have fun within reason. You know, be legal. Be don't annoy or piss off other people. But I don't know. It's one of the reasons I'd love to start doing a meetup thing. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, we can. So Hair Stacker's asking whatever happened to Eric.
So apparently that's kind of a theme. Let's just address the giant elephant in the room tonight. Where people are asking what happened to other people that used to be on the Reseller Happy Hour show when it was on another channel. Just Jim.
Oh, thanks.
Boom.
Yeah. I mean, people asked about Eric and Joe and Dana and other folks that we've had on in the past, and I mean, we still like all those guys. They're all great. They've all had to focus on different things for different reasons, and I don't want to get into their personal life, but we still like to hang out with them and talk and whatever, but they just kind of needed to focus on their stuff, so we had to carry on.
And that was it. There's no secret, like, don't try to read. There's no secret conspiracy, bad juju, anything like that. I don't think in there that I know of or that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It's just, sometimes things click. I think when you start any new, any reselling show that I've watched kind of evolves over the years, and it has certain people come and certain people go, and certain people, like I remember Paul Gummerson used to have the morning show, and when it started, it was this whole group of and that kind of got whittled down. There were better dynamics here and there and things, and then people had to go, or people went to work another job, or people had to go a different direction, or people couldn't get up in the morning because of obligations, or couldn't be there at certain times. I mean, things just change, and you end up with kind of a core group, not meaning to, but that's kind of essentially what ends up happening.
Right.
You didn't see, you explained it so much better, and then I just go off on like this, like rant over, like
Dwayne said, and Dwayne said, very political, Jim. I am proud of you, and it's not political at all. If I didn't like them, if I thought they were assholes, I would. You should know this channel and me by now. I would I would say that they're assholes, but they're not. I mean, they're great people, good guys. It was fun to hang out with them, but for whatever reason, they had to focus on their own stuff, which is perfectly okay. And
or you could go with LB Looper's theory, which is they're all working on a TV pilot together and contractually can't appear on the show anymore.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty awesome.
We're doing a new version of Three's Company with, three dudes living together. So it's not going to be, like hot or anything, but.
Wait, who's in the middle?
Oh, boy.
Apparently.
Well, Eric's not here. We'll throw Eric in the middle since he's not here. Yeah. Is my favorite yellow shirt made by Chaps. I don't fit into anything Chaps or anything you would find in a store. I have to order my clothes like I'm like fucking cows. like farmers would have to order like I don't know where I'm going with that. But no, I can't wear anything made by Chaps or any other store brand.
Is that a big dog shirt?
I have no idea. This is King Size Direct. Plug them for no reason. They make shitty clothes that fit. That should be their slogan.
How much better would this show be without Jim? Oh, wait, it's his show.
Half the time I'm not here anyway. Mentally.
Crafty Caregiver wants to know, anyone doing retail arbitrage? A lot of Gordmans are closing. We don't have Gordmans. I grew up in the Midwest and I didn't even know Gordmans, so I'm actually, hey!
You're back.
Wipe that throw up off your chin.
Damn Skippy. I think it was a combination of the cigar and the liquor. It just kind of hit me the wrong way, so I needed to crawl to the bathroom and take care of it. So.
Yeah.
Are you reloading
I'm
now?
going to eat some pretzels to take care of the alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Gordman's is Midwest, but it looks like they're in 22 states. It's a department store. I
Yeah,
don't
I know.
remember those.
What
Huh?
are you talking about?
Store
Gordman's?
closings.
Do you have Gordman's?
Say that again?
Gordman's. Gord. What does that sign say?
He's
Hang on. My daughter just.
He's drunk. Be nice.
I thought it said he's a bitch.
I'm not drunk. I can still read what's going on. So.
Wasted.
Oh yeah. I was driving the porcelain bus a few minutes ago. Believe me.
See, I was right, guys.
Yeah, you
You
were.
took away my liquor.
I did, because you're like trashed.
I made it to your room.
And then on your hands and knees, and then you crawled to the bathroom.
I made it.
You know your younger daughter is like chastising you.
And in the meantime, she was standing behind you with a notepad making a sign, watching you crawl.
In a half an hour, I'll be fine. That's the thing about my stomach, the way it works because of my surgeries and everything. In a half an hour, I will be totally sober.
You're not getting your alcohol back.
Are you gonna start over again?
I even took your up while you were working on it. I'll finish that part. Because
Deal.
what is that?
It's ice.
LB Looper once said, "Wait, is this an intervention?"
Oh yeah, you can have the pop.
I'm good.
Oh.
So which pain in the ass are we talking about now?
Yeah, you've missed a lot. Just put your earbuds in and rewind.
Just to embarrass you further, this is how much alcohol he consumed.
That's a lot. I don't do liquor well. That's a lot.
It hits me completely different than it hits everybody else. That's
It's
all.
80 proof. Like, I mean, it's not like you're drinking like Bacardi 151 or something. Like,
I get drunk really fast and I get sober just as fast. So
Cindy, will you go get him a Zima and a Jolly Rancher, please?
we don't have Zima. Actually, I don't have Jelly Ranchers either. But
yeah.
Hey, I'm not on the nights on these shows when I do
I'm just
drink.
down the hall in case you feel the need to crawl to my room again. You know.
On the nights on this show when I do drink the Irish whiskey and I do it with the Twisted Tully's, what they call it. It's that drink that Tristan learned in Key West. It's Irish whiskey, ginger ale, orange juice, and peach schnapps. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it is more ginger ale when I'm drinking those, and it looks like I'm killing them off on the show. It is more ginger ale and orange juice than it is anything because I can't do liquor like that. I think you get old at a certain point where you can't.
I never used to get drunk until I had my surgery. And then ever since I had the surgery, one of the side effects of the surgery is the fact that alcohol affects me tremendously faster than it affects normal people. I had stomach surgery, and my stomach's like the size of this. And so because of that, and the way they reroute your intestines and everything, the alcohol goes straight into my stomach and right into my intestines, which means it's instant drunk. But give me a half an hour and I'll be instantly sober because it metabolizes that fast.
I seriously thought you were talking about like Caitlyn Jenner surgery there for a minute.
No, it's a ruined Y surgery for fat bastards like me. So, because I used to be a whole lot fatter. So.
Oh, Jason, no.
I was trying to get balls deep in the bottle. It's been a long time since I had that bottle of liquor. So.
Mike Fisher wants to know, Jason Banana, any good tool auctions lately?
Boom. One is coming up on the 13th that I will definitely be at.
Don't tell anybody.
Somewhere. It's in somewhere, New York, somewhere. And the phone number to the auction hall is 555. Other than that, I bought some stuff at a estate sale today. I bought 2 machines and a bunch of tools and stuff. They were heavy, but thank goodness I had a friend there, so it wasn't too.
You bought a mill today?
I bought a lathe and a milling machine.
Yeah.
They're about 400 and 300 pounds. And they're about another 200 pounds of tooling.
So you're going to hang on to this milling machine or you're going to part it out and sell it?
parting them out. Yep. I
Now,
already have my own personal mill, so I don't need to keep more than one.
the lathe, that's something you bought on eBay, or is that
Oh
another
no!
one?
Then the day before, I bought a lathe on eBay, and
Right.
that's being shipped. It's like a little tiny watchmaker's thing that I make some good money on. So,
Yeah, what'd you pay for that one?
what?
What'd you pay for the one you bought on eBay?
That one was $675, and today I spent $800. And I also bought, when I was there, I bought this cool little because I was thinking of you, Eric, and you're always busting my balls on perfume. So I bought this little tiny perfume set with all these little sample bottles.
Nice.
And I bought a Tandy 486 that's worth about 100 or so.
Wow, a Tandy 486. Sweet.
Yeah.
You're gonna rock the internet now, baby.
I know, it's an SX too.
All right, Thrift.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead. No, you go. No,
No,
you
you-
go. No,
you
go.
go.
Okay.
Go.
How about I? No. I'm just-
No, you go.
The question is probably for Jason. I'm going to an estate sale with old hand tools. What should I look for?
Old hand tools. Don't ask me. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I know there's planes that are worth hundreds of dollars, but
Yeah.
Snap-on, Blue Point, Mac.
It's just like
Craftsman,
everything
it's cheap
else. There's especially hand tools. There's so much flood of those things that it's really only specific brands or oddball years or styles. You really it's a lot of knowledge. I can't just say look for just this or stuff like that.
Right.
It's taken me years to figure out a lot of that stuff. Even with simple things like wood planes, yeah, sure, some are good, some are bad. But the reason the good ones are good is because certain years and certain type models, and like there's so much more to it. It's not easy to really explain. I mean, some major brands, like Eric said, Snap-on, Blue Point is part of Snap-on, Starrett, Brown and Sharp, Older Stanley, of course. It's too broad a question for me to really answer something like that. If it looks interesting and unusual, there's a good chance it's probably worth something. There you go.
Just tools that make tools are the best.
Yeah. That's why I do so well with lathes. Lathes is the only tool that can reproduce itself, believe it or not.
And just because it says made in USA doesn't mean it's automatic gold.
No, but it's a lot better than something that says China.
Right. Yeah.
The Craftsman made in the USA, it's worth more than Craftsman made somewhere else. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of think about stuff like that.
Right. And then say you take Craftsman, for example, then you got like your lower end Craftsman models, like the Dunlap and there's a couple others that I can't think of off the top of my head. And then especially with if you really want to get into it, then with Craftsman have part numbers on them. Like it'll be like 103 dot something 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 or 101 dot something something, and that those codes mean what company made those tools for Craftsman. Like if it says 101, that's made by the Atlas Press Company, and there's like a whole list that you can pull up off the internet that tells you what it is and stuff like that. There's so much to it with the tools. It's taking me years and years of knowledge to learn all this.
But you know what? Okay, so let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
Because, and this is what I find fascinating with you, is that you didn't get into the reselling business to do tools, and you weren't a tool expert when you got into this. You found a niche that you like, a niche, or what is it you call it, Jason?
Niche.
A niche that you were like, this is profitable, and people aren't willing to do it and learn it, and there's not a ton of competition on this specialized stuff, and you ran with it, and you've been successful with it. And yeah, it took you years, but I mean, but you saw money from day one just by doing I think wouldn't you say that, like, you made money from day one, but your research was more difficult back then, maybe?
Well, I made money because I did have an advantage. My father was a tool dealer. So,
Right.
and I worked for him when I was really young, you know, like up until like 16 or so.
Like,
So, and then I hated it because,
child slave labor.
yeah, I hated it because it was hard work, you know, and I was just a little kid. I didn't want to deal with this crap, you know. So when I first started selling on eBay, I was actually selling video games and arcade machines and that sort of stuff. And then for a while that dried up, and I said, you know what? Let me try doing what my father did, what I was doing, since I already kind of knew that business a bit. But then I really, you know, pounded the pavement for a good many years, learning and studying, and especially with all the machine tools, I've poured over schematics and blueprints, and you know, I could take apart machines and put them back together if I need to. But it's taken me a lot of time and work to do all that.
Jeff Stanton says specialty tools for auto repair. That's actually some tools that I actually do know something about. I just don't about like carpentry type tools or machine shop type tools. Yeah, Ford's brand of specialty tools, they have a line called Rotunda, and they make specific tool kits just to remove the spark plugs for a specific set of years, whatever, and they come in these red plastic things and stuff like that. There's a lot of different areas besides just like the type of tools you deal in. I used to do pretty good with those. You know, we bought those Craftsman in that last storage unit. There was that box full of Craftsman tools, and I started researching that because all the Craftsman had double lines on each one, and so I'm like, okay, what is I start looking vintage Craftsman, and like you said, on some, you know, there'd be part numbers where it, you know, it specifies, but I think on some of the later stuff, even on there's like a 2-digit number that specifies certain thing. The double lines means
Yep.
you know, certain thing or a certain age. There's a V they put on some of them that means something. And I went down this rabbit hole, but it was just literally getting on like this forum of tool people talking and just reading and learning. And I found it fascinating. I'm not an expert in Craftsman tools, but you know, at this point, but I understand better what I have, you know, and I think that's part of it is the fascination of just being willing to learn and enjoying it, whether you like the actual product or not. If you like the learning part and you enjoy it, I mean, do it, but
Yeah.
become the best at it you can.
Yep.
That's it. Ran over.
Yep.
Yep. Every time there's a pause, that's right. Every time there's a pause, I'm like, yep.
Julie Vanneram said like her kid and his team got $50,000 for that car at Barrett Jackson.
That's
The
awesome.
Mustang, I think. Yeah.
I wonder what it sold for. So cool.
Yeah. I think Barrett Jackson's on proxy bid too.
Are they?
I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if they're on
think so.
proxy bid or live bidders or something like that. I mean, they do internet bidding. I know that much. So.
Yeah.
And the guy who bought it apparently bought it to help out the school is donating it back to Barrett Jackson to be auctioned off again.
Hmm.
That's pretty neat.
It's very common for them. Guys will buy stuff like that and donate it back, especially for good causes. They'll donate it back so they get tax write-off. And
Yeah.
I've seen that. You know, I used to watch Barrett Jackson every year at the Arizona one, and it's common for guys to spend $500,000 on a car and then redonate it right away and resell it again.
Cool.
Guys, where can I find old D&D books? Man, I look for those all the time. I always do well with anything D&D.
Yeah.
But they're just not, I don't know. I have a hard time finding it, really.
You're probably either going to find them in an estate sale or at a yard sale.
I find them in estates or storage units. I've come across a fair amount of them over the last 3 or 4 years, but it's not been at your average open sale. You know, like it's not your yard sale. It's not your thrift store.
Back in the late 90s, I used to find a lot of it, but not anymore.
Mhm.
I think
I
there's a
think-
recognition of value as things get older and people realize going back that there's a value factor to that. So you don't see them donated to thrift stores or anything like that. You see them in garage sales possibly, or more likely estate sales or auctions.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good example that we've talked about before of where yes, everybody recognizes their 80s stuff may be worth something, or their 70s stuff, and back and back and back. But if that whole, it's all cyclical, and what's considered vintage, now might be early 90s. And there's a lot of that stuff out there that people don't recognize as necessarily being worth anything. They just, oh, that's that old crap, I don't want that anymore, and they throw it out, or they throw it in the yard sale and sell it cheap because they don't realize. So it's kind of changes every year or every couple of years. It's kind of staying ahead of that trend and recognizing the undervalued stuff.
What do they say that the average person starts recollecting 40, 45 and collects for maybe 10 years? And so that's kind of what the window you should always be looking at, is that 45 to 55 minus out when they were kids back then. So, anybody that was born in like 61 to 71. So that's the type of people that are collecting right now. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to think about stuff like that as who's actually buying the stuff, who's got the money to buy it, and who's actually got the inclination to buy it. And so if I'm thinking of a 10-year-old kid who's 45 years old right now, so that's 35 years ago. Well, that's 1982. If I did the math right. So anything in the 80s is going to start getting a little hot.
Yeah.
Yep. I sold a coffee mug.
Nice.
I just wanted to openly
yourself on the back
for $26 out of that crappy storage unit, by the way.
The one you should have never bought because it's just full of crap that nobody wants.
Because I just need to admit that it was a mistake, apparently. End quote. But as much as I make fun, I was thinking about that today. As much as I rag on coffee mugs, et cetera, or T-shirts or whatever, there can be money in that. But pick the vintage, or pick the advertising, or pick the, like with T-shirts, pick the novelty stuff. I mean, we sold a Harley Davidson T-shirt for $400 that one time. I mean, that doesn't mean that all coffee mugs or T-shirts are bad, but don't go get your average run-of-the-mill crap that there were a million of them made 3.5 years ago. I mean, it's not. And there's a gazillion competitors on there. That stuff's just not. Look for the stuff that nobody else has. This particular coffee mug was a computer company that's here in town. That's also does NASA related stuff like that. And it was a vintage one of theirs from probably the 80s or 90s. You know what? There's not going to be any other ones out there. There were none from that company, period, and completed in actives or completed on eBay. So it was a captive audience. It's not that coffee mugs are bad or T-shirts are bad or that blue jeans are bad or whatever. It's about finding something that everybody else isn't selling. Yeah. It's not average and run of the mill.
I mean, you can buy Starbucks mugs all day long on eBay for $20, but if you've got the one Starbucks mug that everybody wants, it's a rare one, then it's worth buying. But just know that the average one is only worth $20.
Thelma Thrift said, "Nice, I like coffee mugs," and that's actually the reason I said that, because I was watching your video today, Thelma. Y'all go check her channel out. And she showed some coffee mugs, but they were different types of coffee mugs. And it made me realize maybe I should clarify that not all coffee mugs are bad. I just use that as a generic example when I see people just, running and getting, what was the title of the show? 45 pounds worth of stuff from the Goodwill haul or from the Goodwill bins or whatever for $700 or whatever number Jim made up. And it's not unusual stuff. It's not rare stuff. It's not, and you get on there and there's a gazillion other ones of those listed. I mean, versus it's like Starbucks. That's a great example. That's kind of a saturated market. I mean, do y'all remember when the ones with the city scenes and stuff like that? Yeah, they do sell, but do you remember when they used to bring hundreds of dollars? Yeah. I sold them when they brought hundreds of dollars. I sold like a Puerto Rico or whatever. And then I pick one up a year and a half later and it's like, I do good to get $30 out of it. $30 still isn't bad for something you paid $1 for. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that, but they're not the total home runs that they were, because that's becoming more and more of a saturated market. So if I walk into an estate sale and they have a table of Starbucks mugs and they want $8 a piece for them or whatever, am I going to buy them then? No, probably not.
Nope.
Unless it's a package deal.
I think thrift stores, they catch on after the hype.
Right.
So, those mugs were selling for, let's say, $150 2 or 3 years ago. Now they're not, but the thrift stores think they still are. So now they're pricing them at ridiculous prices. And, you know, around here, you know, I'm not going to buy it. You know, and you still get some thrift stores that don't know and they don't check. But your Goodwills, your basically your chain stores are going to have people on staff that are paid to check pricing. Right. And if they're looking at old information or current listed stuff is big, and you know they're going to list coffee mugs for crazy prices because
right.
But it's always after the hype. It's never during the hype or whatever. You know, so they always catch it late for some reason.
Well, another thing, like Thelma showed in her video today, she was showing, or maybe the video is from yesterday. I was either watching yesterday or today. And if she was showing like these dresses, and my first thought was, and I know some clothing and some vintage, but they were literally like Laura Ingalls Wilder looking dresses, and they're called prairie dresses, and prairie dresses are hot. You know, who would have thought that? You know, but stay ahead of the trend. The thrift stores may have not figured that out yet. You've got somebody in the back sorting that, going, "Oh my God, look at that 1980s." You know, somebody. But Thelma realizes that's a hot item that's overlooked. She's snatching them up and she's getting good money for them.
Yep.
It's staying ahead of the thrift store, staying ahead of the trend, you know,
or at the very least recognizing when something is hot.
Right. Eric, take a drink.
I don't have anything to drink. She took it all away.
Oh man.
Your grown daughter takes your stuff away from you.
Well, because I crawled to her room, so that kind of gives her like the right to do that.
Did you crawl past her room, or did you crawl to her room and
I
yell?
crawled to her room first to let her know that I wasn't feeling very good, and then I just make a right and I go right into the bathroom. You know, because I have Luke here and everything, so I got to be a little bit responsible. As drunk as I was, to be a little bit responsible. Let her know that I wasn't feeling very good because I drank too much, and that she's now responsible for Lucas. So. Although he's going to bed at this point, so it wasn't a big deal. But you know, you still things. You know, that's the reality of being a single parent. You're always got to have that in the back of your mind. You just can't cut loose every now and then. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the staying ahead of the trend, because I mean, I think we've all been caught with something behind the trend. You know, you bought stuff and either you overpriced it and you didn't realize that the market was going down, and then next thing you know, you're sitting there staring at a wall of coffee mugs going, what the heck am I doing with those things, because they're not moving.
Right.
You know, and yeah, that's the deal. I mean, sometimes you got to lot it up, you got to move out of it and move on to the next one, or you hold on to it until the trend comes around. That's a viable option as well if you have the space. But
same with Julie V said, same with jewelry. Now they have caught up, way overpriced their junk jars.
Yeah. Well, I was in a thrift store this week. Like I said before I checked out earlier, I went to a thrift store to pick up a jacket, and I was just checking everything else that was there, and the prices were insane. I saw jackets for $70 at the thrift store. I'm like, it's a $70 jacket. You're not going to get that. This thing's going to sit there forever. Now, maybe at half price day, maybe it's a worthwhile option, but it's just kind of crazy. I mean, and this is a thrift store I've been many times before. Now, this is in Dayton, Ohio, which is where I don't go normally. And it's where my parents live and my rest of my family lives. And it's a Valley Thrift, which is actually part of the Savers chain. And so, you know, it's one of those ones where they started looking things up. So I used to be able to buy there every now and then and do well when I go to visit my parents or something along those lines. But I walked in there and I walked out with 4 or 5 things. I can't remember quite exactly. They were all clothing items, but you know, one was a Highlander jacket from the Highlander TV series. It should be about $60. Now, unfortunately, my daughter snagged it, and I don't have a Highlander jacket to sell, but that's okay. But I picked up some other stuff that I'll get $40 or $50 a piece for out of them, but I had to pay $7 or $8 a piece for them. So, you know, that's not a great return on clothing as far as I'm concerned, because clothing takes forever to sell. But
some of it does. I mean, it depends on.
Yeah, you know, Ralph Lauren polo sweat jackets. That's what I think. I bought 2 of those for $6 a piece or something like that. So those will I'll get $30, $35 a piece for those. And there was another item in there that was actually pretty decent. So
Batterfox Film said, I bought a Starbucks mugs yesterday at Goodwill for $2. I'm fine for pricing at 20 and taking 15 probably. And that's fine. Me
Yeah, 15 is
personally,
going to cost you $7 to ship it, so you're going to make $8 under $2. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm assuming you're doing free shipping.
Yeah.
oh Lord.
Well, maybe
So
that's the problem, Eric. You're on the bigger cigar tonight.
I think it was a mix of the nice cigar, because I don't normally, I mean, I have a lot of these cigars, but I broke out one of the really nice ones. It's $10 cigar. So I think the mix of the cigar with the blackberry whiskey, which I haven't had in a long time, and I really kind of hammered it pretty quick, and it just nails me that fast. So.
Oh, okay.
Corporal Calico says he lives 20 minutes from Dayton. There's a Goodwill outlet in Dayton, and it sucks. Just my thought. I've been there once, and I would never go back again because it was that bad. But I understand there's a lot of good thrift stores in Dayton. I don't usually go there for that. I mean, I was helping my mom move her friend, and I'm probably repeating myself, but I picked up some really cool stuff that I'll make. I got one piece that'll sell for $400. So.
But I think with, back to the coffee mug thing, I think when I pulled those out of that storage unit, there were like 6 of them. I literally did all 6 of them at the same time. I did picture of the front, picture of the back, picture from above, and picture from the bottom. So 4 pictures of each. It literally, to do 24 pictures takes me seriously like maybe all of a minute and a half. Bring them back over here, line them up. I use a lot of sell similar because they're going to stay. The majority of the time they're going to stay, and I can't remember on those, but they're going to stay in the same kind of collectible mugs advertising category or whatever. And so it was literally a quick listing process. I think where I would run into problems, batter box films, is getting in there, finding the one, clicking sell similar. Hopefully you're not writing your titles from scratch, but doing a lot of one-offs like that, it becomes tough. There's nothing wrong with selling $20 items. Don't get me wrong, but it does become tough, or that, like in that instance, you're going to make $8 or whatever off of it. It does become tough. The $8 do add up if you can list quick enough and have enough inventory. But I think for a lot of the audience that's watching that go and do a lot of one-off stuff, I mean, it ends up becoming to like Goodwill bins, for instance, and you got this pair of jeans and you got this mug over here and you've got this electronic over here and you have to clean and wrap the cords and test and everything else. How much of that stuff can you actually list in a day? I mean, versus, yeah, I do list fast, but I can knock out 50, 60 listings in a day, and that's nothing. If I really sit down and do it, because I group things together, I list like type of items or things that are in quantity. It's working big. It's growing it's getting bigger without working less. I mean, what am I trying to say?
I don't know. I lost track about 2 minutes ago.
I think what you're basically trying to say is it's about being efficient in your listing process. If you've got 25 jackets to list, then you list those jackets, do all the jackets at the same time. Just from a clothing option, because clothing sucks to list. So it's one of those things that takes a while to list. But but if you got 25 coffee mugs, list them and you hit sell similar. You're in the coffee mug category already. Half your stuff is already pre-filled in, so you just you work through it a lot faster. When I do my listings, I have a tendency to do that. I sold a bunch of antique fish heads. I showed them up at the show, one of the other shows. I don't remember which one it was, but they were desiccated fish heads, trophy things. And I had like 15 of these, or 11. I don't know. I can't remember how many. 11 or 12 of these things to list, but I listed them all. Bam, there it is. I got to change the title, a few words, put new pictures in, and done. I really listed them in about 10 minutes. So I mean, that's the key, is if you work smarter and you get more efficient in your listing process, then you're not backlogged. You don't have the not so sexy pile sitting there just staring at you.
That's why I like buying collections. It's easier to list them.
The Patheg listing is the perfect example. You bought 140 of those things, and when you go to list them, it's 140 separate listings, but it's a minute per listing.
Right.
You got 2 hours worth of work. You make $400 or $500 off 2 hours worth of work. That's the goal right there. That's how you get to where the eBay pays your bills. And my backdrop is nothing more than a faux vinyl backdrop that looks like wood.
There was a comment in one of the videos recently talking about like your slides and your photos and things like that. And everybody wants to talk. The comment was something along the lines of, everybody wants to talk. It was kind of a hateful comment, but everybody wants to talk about photos, everybody wants to talk about slides, but why does nobody ever talk about how many of them don't sell? Well, you know what? They all eventually sell. And if you have a process set up like what you do, Eric or Jim, or well, Jason doesn't sell slides, but even with tools with Jason, if you have a system set up and they're quick to list and it's minimal listing fees, yeah, eventually they are going to sell. If you don't list crap to begin with, it's going to sell. That doesn't mean you list every single slide. I'll do a video and I might show boxes full of slides. That doesn't mean I'm going to list every single slide in that box. There's going to be a bunch of them that are like just random blurry street scenes of Tokyo or whatever. And those are going to go into a lot and be listed or tossed into a yard sale pile or donated. And they're going to be a lot of, random street scenes, not the greatest quality. And yeah, somebody will give you $15 for them, but you know what? That was just one more listing along with all the good slides.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I do my slides. I go through and I look at them and I see, okay, if it's cool, if it's neat, it's going to be sold separately. If it's average stuff that you can find anywhere, it's going to go into a pile. I get 15 or 20 of them together. I'll scan a few of them, throw them in there. So there's 15 or 20 random slides, and here's a lot for $14.99. I don't care. I mean, at that point, I've created a lot of them, but I'm pulling out the ones or twos that are going to bring me $20 or $30 a piece.
Right.
It doesn't. I can list 10,000 slides in probably 2 or 3 days if you attack it like that, where you realize that I can list them for 99 cents a piece, or I can list a lot of them for $15, and I less worry about them at that point.
Plus, you're usually buying them fairly cheap, right, Eric?
Oh my goodness! Every slide that I own has already been paid for. I sold one slide for $250. And that's pretty much covered most of my slide costs. I sold a few others for $50, but I probably invested maybe $200 in slides I've got like 10 or 11,000 slides.
Dr. Hector, I'm gonna call you Dr. Hector. D Hector asked, can anyone tell me how to ship postage stamp sheets without having them crushed in the mail? I've actually listed a few lately and sold some recently. I order these. These are like 11 by, I can't see that side of the box. They're 12 by 15 and a half. They're way overkill. What I end up doing is just, cutting off the extra and taping it, whatever. I use random cardboard if you ever cut a box down, just a brown cardboard box. If you get boxes in the mail when you get stuff that sometimes they're a little torn up, save the extra flaps. I have lots of, I can't reach them. But I have lots of little flaps of cardboards that stay tucked behind. That's actually off a priority mail thing. That stay tucked behind there. For instance, if I sold a postcard right now, the postcard's gonna get laid right there. I'm gonna score it a little bit. I'm gonna fold it down. I'm gonna cut it there, and it's gonna create a little pocket that I put the postcard inside of. I'm gonna fold that over, and it's gonna go. Well, actually, it would go in a first class mailer because it's small, but not that. And then I'm going to shove it in there, and boom, you got protection.
I use bag it or anything like that, or just the postcard straight on the cardboard.
Yeah, I use these for magazines, for lobby cards, for movie lobby cards. They're 12 and a half by 15 3/4. And like Dusty, I slide a piece of cardboard in there if it needs to be stiffened up a little bit. Seal it, throw a piece of tape on. It almost always goes first class. These are about 40 cents a piece. I have a bunch of lobby cards I listed, so that's why I did that. I bought those. I mean, normally I wouldn't spend. I mean, I like Dusty. I would use a poly mailer and just do some extra cardboard, maybe a piece of bubble wrap around. I don't know. Just you can ship flat paper goods really cheap.
Right.
It just depends on how much work you're going to put into the thing. With my cardboard listings, it takes me no time at all. Takes a couple of extra seconds for the way Dusty's doing it. It's not a big deal. You don't have to get crazy with it because all you're doing is protecting the item. It's not any different than shipping anything else. So you kind of have to go with that. The crazy card asked, do slide lots do well on auction? I don't really do auctions, so I don't really know. I probably should do more because doing my research, it seems that slides do very well at auction. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. I mean, slides are kind of like the thing that I have in the background that when I feel like listing a bunch of stuff that I haven't really been out shopping lately, I go break into my slide back stock. I mean, I've got just tons and tons from the 1930s all the way up to the 1980s. So It's just one of those things that I'll get to it eventually.
He's got more slides than a shoots and ladders game.
Yeah, he definitely does. I have a 4-foot shelf plus about 4 totes full of slides.
Yeah, I bought a pretty big slide lot a couple months ago, and I sold through all my good individual stuff that I can lot together and create like a similar slide, like all vacations photos from Mexico and things like that. But now I'm on to just my lots, and what I'm doing is they all came in those rectangular slide trays. They hold 30 slides per tray.
Yep.
And I can't get much for the slide trays. So what I'm doing is I'm lotting them full slide trays, 30 slides, plus the tray for $20. And they weigh 15.8 ounces, so that's with a little bit of bubble wrap as well. So I can ship them first class, and I'll take $15 offers all day long on those.
Yeah, it really, if you don't have a slide scanner, you can just kind of set up a way the backlight the slides. You can take a picture of 15 slides in one picture and give an idea of what's actually on the slides and do well with them. But not every slide is going to sell. I mean, the best slides are transportation, planes, trains, and automobiles. Just flat out tell you that. And then good vintage street scenes where it's nice and clear and it's interesting, it's unique, it's got something going on, it's got some pop to it. Yeah. Those are the ones that bring the money. And pictures of flowers don't bring a lot of money.
No.
Pictures of birds, I'll get there eventually. I'll let you know. That's all I can do. I got so many pictures of birds.
Yeah.
Julie said she does greeting cards, vintage greeting cards. Those are really cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the older greeting cards. If you get like into the purple Santa era, which is like 1890s and 1910, those are bring really good money. Any of the Halloween and Easter cards from the early 1900s, those bring great money. They're harder to find, but when you do find, you usually find them in a scrapbook where you find a lot of them at one time. So, and you usually have to pay up for them. I mean, last time I bought a decent amount of vintage greeting cards, I think I paid like $100 for one scrapbook worth of them, but I made like $400 or $500 just selling them individually. That's where you buy a lot and then you break it apart.
Yeah.
All right, Barry Worth said, can Dusty also do a video on how not to sell things that at a price where one would lose money after fees and shipping? And
do you need a video on that? I think personally, if you want to sell things at a loss, that's your business. Some people do it. I think that's kind of silly. If you can't figure out profit and loss and how you sell things, then you probably should go work at your local Taco Bell and outdo this job.
But I think there is I mean, a business practice of putting something on clearance, just like a retail store, throwing something on clearance just to get something for it and build your feedback a little bit, and at least it's not sitting on your shelf still. Just get rid of it if you've had it for a little while.
I'm never going to sell anything at a loss. I might sell it at cost, but I'm not going to. Why sell it at a loss when I can donate it and take the write-off?
Yeah, no, I've sold stuff at a loss. I mean, if I've already made money on the whole, purchase, then what do I care? As long as I get my shipping covered. But
I have like those Coke trays, Eric.
Hey, you know what? I would rather throw that away than have some guy just piss me off on it and everything.
Well, that's just stupid because you threw it away and you lost money. I have some items in my store that I literally am at break even. I actually have a few that I lose 20-30 cents on. And here's the deal. They're items that were left over from a larger lot, some of which I recalled from Amazon because they weren't selling, or that I never sent into Amazon because Amazon jumped on the listing. But I made I got some light switch plates, for instance. I bought thousands of those. I made a killing off of those. They're feedback builders. They sell between the dozen or so items that I have. They sell, and then when somebody buys more than one of them, I actually make some money, which does happen fairly often on some of the items. It's the same reason. I'll give you a really good example. Here we go with the grocery store thing again, because I know there's a couple people that hate that. My dad had loss leaders. Why do people have loss leaders? It is to draw attention to yourself, to build business. In the instance of a grocery store, it's to get people in so they'll spend more money. I don't think it applies as much to eBay because people don't really shop my store and buy multiple items on most of my items. Although you like the light switch plate things I have, yeah, sometimes they'll buy the outlet and they'll buy the matching light switch plate with it. But they're items that I literally have zero in, and there's such a guaranteed positive feedback because they're bulletproof items. What you see is what you get. It's new, it's sealed. I've described it. I've shown it. I've shown one of them out of the package, and so
But you're not gonna sell those- But you're not going to sell those at where you're literally losing money with every one you sell. You break even is one thing, and I don't have a problem with selling something at break even.
No, I mean,
Where
I have,
the
an item, I have an item that I lose about 20, 30 cents on, and
Yes,
I don't care. And I don't care on that particular item because I sold so many of those years ago that I made so much money that every time I sell one, it's a guaranteed positive feedback. It's the Cassini momentum behind it. There's a lot to say with that. You know, the smalls that I have that I don't make, the little fuses that I sell for $7.99 free shipping, I only make $3 or $4 or whatever. But you know what? All those cha-chings you heard tonight, that was all my phone. You know, that was all, and it was actually all bigger items. I think there's definitely something to the whole Cassini momentum thing. And what I'm doing is working for me. So
I mean, I definitely agree with the momentum thing. I mean, I definitely, when I start to see sales roll in, it seems like I get like a roll where I get, 5 or 7 or 8 sales all in a row. And yes, I sell some items where I might make 25 or 30 cents on, by the time I pack it up and ship it and send it out. But, to consistently sell the loss is not what we do. I mean, it's one thing to buy a bunch of stuff at an auction and, it was just a massive amount, and you get your money back, and now you're just kind of getting stuff out for shipping. That's fine, but you shouldn't go into this business thinking, okay, I'm going to get rid of stuff and sell it at a loss just to build feedback, unless you're new. If you're new and you're trying to build your reputation up, that's a fantastic way. There's nothing better than selling a lot of little things quickly to get your feedback rating up, so you can call up eBay every month and go, hey, I've sold 25 items this month. Can I get a raise in my listing amount? That's great.
Well, Jack Smack said refusing to sell something that's a poor seller due to losing money or breaking even on it is chasing bad money with good cash flow matters. Yeah, cash flow. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out which way he's going with that one.
Cash flow does matter. I mean, I think I see what he's saying, but I think there's something to be said for building momentum for your account, because there is a theory out there that, if you don't have to sell the same thing good momentum, good sales builds good momentum for your other items, not just the one that's sold.
And there's an algorithm that none of us truly know except for a few select eBay engineers.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you this. I sold 2 items this morning. It was deader than a doornail most of the rest of the day. I went to dinner with Zilke. I started getting offers on stuff. I started accepting offers on stuff. And my phone has done nothing. You've heard it. It's done nothing but cha-ching since then.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
everybody in the world decided to shop on Saturday night, and it's a really busy Saturday night, or there's maybe some theory. But, I think all of us would say we see a pattern to our sales. Once one comes in, another one comes. I mean, there's something there. I've watched it for 10 years.
It's definitely. I mean, I have this one item I bought from a beauty shop closeout auction that I sell one every 3 weeks. But the other day I took a couple offers on them and I sold like 3 or 4 right in a row. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense at all. It's not like everybody decided to shop for this one item that's a $6 item. So, I mean, I think there's definitely a momentum building thing. And I know you subscribe to that and it works really good for you. And like I said, there's no doubting what happens. Like I said, it's frustrating. We all hang out all day long and we sit there and Dusty's just like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. You're like, really? It's like, yeah, I made $8 on that one, $6 on this one. And you're like, it's a little frustrating sometimes for all of us, but but we get it because it's not like
but they're not always huge sales. Yeah,
it's like
there. I made $6. I made $6 there.
You're making $8 and $10 and stuff, but in the end, it does add up, and because it does force your store, it seems like you definitely get a bump from all the change that you get. You definitely get into that range. So there is something to be said about selling things at cost to get rid of them to actually keep that momentum going. Mm-hmm. But to make a video about what we talked about was to make a video about that, it's kind of silly. So we're not into silly.
I'm silly.
All right, Thom, let's get to his question.
Tom?
Poor Tom.
Yes, Dusty, you bought some 8mm reels some time ago. One of them you thought had some JFK footage. What happened with that?
You want the real truth answer? Because I'm not gonna lie, it's sitting in a box in the warehouse. I mean, I went to the warehouse and dragged out my 8mm projector or whatever that somebody had returned like 2 years ago. Like, it doesn't work, and now like the lamp in it, the bulb's bad. I need to order a new bulb. I was totally stoked about that. I've also toyed with the idea of just sending it off to one of the local like Wolf cameras, something like that, and having them just go ahead and convert it. Paying the money to have them convert it, because it says NASA astronauts 1968, and it's a homemade.
I mean, the conversion is actually really cheap nowadays. I got a local shop that'll convert mine for like $6 a reel.
Per reel?
Per reel, yeah. It's not terrible at all.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
I got two that are sitting. Maybe they're sitting right here. They're a 1964 Indy 500 stuff, and I ran them. I have a little machine that lets me. I can sit there and hand wind through and look at what's on the reels. And I found some 1964 Indianapolis 500 from the Sears Allstate car, which actually blew up and killed a couple of people in the race and everything. And this is actually in the time trials beforehand. So I'm going to send those out and get them digitized so I can actually sell them. Plus, it's already digitized. So I think I'll maximize my dollar there. So, but yeah, it's really cheap, and you can usually get it done locally.
Well, hell, if I can't find a shop that cheap here, I'm just going to mail them to you, and you can take them over there. And
yeah, it's a local shop. They'll do it for me. No big deal.
Wow,
That's pretty cool. That's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I bought a huge box of 8mm home movies and stuff, and most of them are home movies. I mean, that's all they are, but there's some really cool stuff in there. So, and I only paid like $6 for the whole box.
LV Looper said he sold the most expensive item yesterday of his young career yesterday. He sold an old school coin op cologne dispenser, insert dime, push-in plunger, get a spray of perfume. That's really cool.
So LV, was there also a section in there where you can insert your quarter and get your choice of marital aid?
Prophylactics.
Or did you keep that one for yourself?
So just to let y'all know what goes on behind the scenes, got a group chat with these other guys, and I'm picking up Tristan the other day, halfway to Birmingham, and I'm in like a truck stop / bathroom, and I'm standing there, and I look up and I'm like, wow, look at all those choices. I'm like, you know what, this is a photo opportunity. Picture of all of it, and I send it to all of them, and they're like, where are you? It's like the French tickler, the one. I mean, this is just what guys do, and they're all like, where are, like, do we even want to ask? I'm like, truck stop.
I said you were at a Chick-fil-A restroom.
A Chick-fil-A. That was not Chick-fil-A.
I don't know what kind of Chick-fil-A's Jason goes to, but I've never seen one of those in my Chick-fil-A's. So.
No.
Sure that wasn't a Guy Phillip station? I mean, I don't know. I mean.
Let's see. We've got one from Jack Smack. We'll get to you here in just. Well, you know what? Along that same line, let's take Jackson. We'll get to Moonlighters. Right. Jack Smack said, I know it's a conspiracy theory, but I think Cassini throttles you at a certain amount of sales, maybe so some sellers don't go overboard, i.e. prevent fraud. I can see that. I'm not going to disagree in any means with that. I think that as your account becomes more aged, as you become a bigger seller, more positive, maybe even anchor store, throwing that theory only out there, I do think that some of that goes away. I see less and less of like these big, the more we sell over the years, I mean, the more we sell over the years, the bigger we get, the better we do, the less I see that kind of thing. I wouldn't put that past them. You know, from a standpoint, that would make sense. I'm a firm believer in the faster you ship. This is I'm a firm believer in the theory of the faster you ship, the more quicker you respond to questions from buyers, things like that, the more that whatever this algorithm is smiles down, the gods smile down on you based on this is an active seller that's active and always on our website, always checking their stuff, always doing their stuff. So I think, yeah, that makes sense then if you said, you know, that maybe there's a theory behind there that maybe some sellers don't go overboard or prevent fraud, et cetera, et cetera. I can totally see that. I would not for 1 second, you won't hear it out of my mouth. I wouldn't try to debunk that because I see that as being plausible, stamped plausible by the Mythbusters.
Yeah.
What do y'all
I
think?
definitely agree with you that the faster you ship an item, it definitely, I think they definitely give you a bump for that. Because I've noticed when I'm sitting down here and I'm like, sell something, I'm like, oh, hell, I'm just going to pack it up and get ready to go. And it seems like the sales kind of kick right up when you start doing that type of process. You know, whereas if you sell something on Friday and you don't pack it till Monday morning, I think that actually hurts you a little bit. You know, and we're all guilty of it, but I think that's definitely a negative thing for you.
Yeah, whenever I hear somebody or read somebody or whatever, however I intake it, whenever they talk about throttling and Cassini, and I think their main complaint is the roller coaster, the big sales one day, not so much the next day, then back up and down and up and down. And I think the only way to really prevent that is just consistently listing, consistently working on your store. And it's not so much eBay throttling you, it's that, you know, if you go on a listing spree for 3 days and then you're busy for the next 3 days, but then you don't list for the next week, yeah, you're not giving anything new to the search engines to pick you up. So I think that's more of a solution or an explanation, maybe.
I also did list today, and I haven't listed in a couple of days. I listed 12, 15, something, I don't know, whatever items. You know, there's another theory. I think ultimately, if you treat this like a business, like you eat, sleep, and breathe, and I know a lot of people, you know, I can't dedicate that kind of time. I don't want my whole life to be eBay. Well, then maybe this is the business for you.
Right.
But I think that if you eat, sleep, and breathe to some extent, you know, I mean, my phone, the only push notifications I have on my phone are eBay and PayPal. I don't have it on for Facebook. I don't need distractions from that. It is business, business, business until the moment I sit down on the couch in the evenings or go to dinner with some reseller friends. But no offense, I'm still going to get the cha-chings. I'm still want to keep on top of my business, you know, but I don't need Facebook telling me Jim Bennett just ate Donato's pizza tonight, you know, check it out or whatever. You know, I don't need that crap. And so I think if you're doing all of the things that we've kind of theorized over the last couple of shows, shipping fast, free shipping, controversial as it is, free shipping, 1-day handling, answering questions quickly, listing daily. I mean, we probably should compile a master list of, like, you want your business to succeed, do all of that. You know, ultimately it comes down to having relevant products. I mean, I don't care if you do all those things and list the crappiest products in the world. No, you're not going to see sales. You still ultimately have to have things that people want that are priced competitively or at a price that people want them at, you know? And I think if you do a combination, like Jim said, you know, of all those things, then yeah, I think I mean, that's what I do, and it's working for us. You know, I'm not a better reseller than anybody else out there. I'm not luckiest son of a bitch alive, like that one friend of mine told me a couple years ago. I mean, I do think we've honed our skills, definitely, but it's that I've figured out these little things that seem to be working, and I do every single one of them daily. You know, I start new sales every day, markdown manager, promoted listings. You know, I've learned to make it a habit to practice all these things and become the best business that I can be.
Yeah.
Rant over.
I mean, it's not really a rant. It's just good basic advice. I mean, I worked retail for many years, like, you know, almost 30 years, and the best sellers, the best people in retail are the ones that have a program, a plan that they follow every single day. You get up in the morning, and if you're doing this full time, I'm assuming you're full time. You get up in the morning and you answer any questions that came in overnight. What are you going to list that day? You start your listing, you get your shipping done. If you do that stuff consistently every single day and you treat it like a business, like a job, it will be successful. You know?
But I think, and that's a really good example, you know, grocery business again. But you know what? A lot of the crap, and I know people don't like to hear about the grocery business, a lot of the crap that I learned about business, I learned from my dad. You know, you go in every morning, the dairy manager, when he gets there at 7 o'clock every morning, the truck didn't get there till 7:30 or 8 o'clock, so he couldn't start putting new stuff out. He went through that entire section and pulled old dates. You know, it was a pattern. It was a habit. And people tend to get into this business And I think we all, just human nature, tend to kind of go back to that, and maybe get lazy or whatever. But you know, it's just treating it like a business. Like Eric, you were in retail. They have planograms. They don't just throw the crap on the shelves, guys. Walmart stores, there is a rhyme and a reason. There's a science to why everything goes. Plus, there's paid slotting, but we won't get it out on this show. But there's a reason to why everything goes. Some things go at eye level, some things don't. It's well thought out. And the problem with this business is a lot of people get into it and don't. And I think we all get into it and we start out like just floundering and not knowing what the hell we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, if you've never seen it, I mean, Dusty's great. If you've never seen a planogram, you have to understand that a planogram is so detailed, so down the fact that they will tell you exactly what hole the shelf goes into on that the stand-up part. They'll tell you it's 32 holes from the bottom. That's where you're putting the first shelf. 16 holes above that. I mean, that's how detailed those planograms get. You're going to put, you know, the first 8 inches are dedicated to this product here.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you have to enter your businesses every day. And if you're bad at it, I mean, and I'm not saying I'm great at it, believe me, you know, but I recognize that. But if you're bad at it, chart out what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and stick to a schedule. If you're doing this as a job, you should be able to measure how much time you spend doing each topic, and you should be able to figure out where you're good at, where you're bad at. What's the best time of the day for me to list? Is it first thing in the morning? Maybe not. Maybe I need to get my day going and get my coffee drank, and I'm more alert. And then maybe after the afternoon I go out, I do my listing. Or maybe mornings is when I go out and I say, okay, I'm going to spend 3 hours buying my product. Going to thrift stores, going to auctions, whatever you're doing. That's what you do. You're going to set yourself up a schedule. If you do that, then at least you can sit there and start pointing to the areas that you're actually going to be successful at. Oh, I suck at cleaning my product, so I need to really dedicate that time. Jason is a fanatic for cleaning his product.
Oh, hell.
We've seen him sit there and watch him sit there and, you know, spraying the little stuff and cleaning up his tools and everything. We're like,
okay, so Jeff Davidson said too much time trying to figure out the system rather than just run your business. Jeff, I'm going to totally disagree. Respectfully and totally disagree. You're talking about a system that does have search algorithms. Jeff, you're into SEO. So you're telling me you just run your business and you don't figure out the SEO stuff and do any of the stuff behind the scenes for your websites?
yeah, running your business is one thing, but figuring out what makes your business run is really the key to this business. Jason probably does have the cleanest tool around. We're not going to talk about that.
It's polished every night.
But it's just one of those things. I mean, I know my first thing I do in the morning, I wake up, I roll over, and I grab my phone. I haven't even gotten out of bed yet, and I look and see what's sold overnight.
Apparently, Jeff was talking about something else. Jeff, I apologize if you were talking about something else.
So that's my first thing I do every
okay.
morning.
My bad. Sorry,
get my
Jeff.
phone up and get them moving and everything. But that's my morning routine. You know, and then I grab my coffee and I start my day, and then I figure out what I'm doing with that stuff. But I don't. What?
Yeah. Jeff said, no, not that. I do know what works, but don't try. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, Jeff, anyhow, nothing, no hard feelings. I don't know what you're saying either. Apparently they're talking in the audience, in the chat, about creating two different accounts with two different locations.
I don't know about
Here
that.
was what was thrown out there. Maybe I should get two different eBay accounts with two different shipping locations to rank better for Cassini's new thing, LOL. It's not a new Cassini thing. It's a new shipping thing. And I would hate to, Lindsay, I don't know where I can't remember where Lindsay lives.
She's in Oregon, I think.
Okay, Oregon. Yeah, you're like up in the corner. Of course, it wouldn't really make a difference because you're far coast anyhow. But I would hate to see you create two different accounts and show one as Oregon and one as like Arkansas in the center of the country. And then the new thing that's coming out with the guaranteed shipping, all of a sudden you got to figure out how to get it there in 2 days guaranteed to Boston because the computer thinks you're in Arkansas. That sounds like a bad.
I mean, quite frankly, living on the coast sucks. Left coast, right coast, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You pay the price for that. So you have to kind of think about what else can you do to make sure your listings are attractive to people. But you know, that's just kind of the way it is. But I mean, oh, I'll take the title for ugliest panel member. I got no problem with that.
Who the hell said that?
Young 32, who's the most handsome panel member, or rather ugliest? And I'll take the, or unugliest maybe. I'll take the ugliest one. I really don't give a rat's ass. So I'm not out to
My
impress.
looks
So.
and my charm.
I think Jason's probably the most charming and
Yeah.
handsome of us.
Okay, Jason Hopper has commented a couple times. Can't get caught up in all of that and just sell the most best products you can. The most best products you can, competitively priced. Good titles, prices, and pictures are all the SEO you need, and top-rated seller.
He also said before that Cassini rules get so complicated and everybody you speak to has a different theory, often conflicting, especially with eBay now starting to rank by location to guarantee 2-day delivery. You can't get caught up in all that and just sell the most best products you can, competitively priced.
And that's true. I don't get caught up in anything. I just have things that I see that work, whether it's Cassini or it's the Voodoo Boogeyman or whatever. I have things that I do that I've made best practices in my business. Free shipping, 1-day handling time. That's just something that I've found that seems to give me, all of a sudden when I started doing things like that, my stuff started selling more. I think what we're trying to do, Jason, is educate people that are, in a really good example, there was a guy that I talked to today that was selling a large-ish type item that was 15 pounds. He's located in the southeastern United States. But when I put his zip code in, 15 pounds, it was showing $98. You know, he was asking for some input on the listing and all that. That's the people we're trying to help and better educate of, okay, why is your item not selling? Because your item is $100, but you have $100 shipping on it for a 15-pound item from the southeastern United States to 90210. That's the go-to zip code I use. And to Beverly Hills, California. That's a problem. So I think it's just saying, hey guys, if your sales suck, because, and I think Jason, where we're coming from is we're all an active part of a couple Facebook reselling groups, and we see a lot of complaining in, well, not in the groups we're in, because you can't complain in there, or Jim will call you out on it. No, but there's been a lot. If you look at the bigger reselling group, my sales suck. And when you go and you say, hey, do you care if I take a look at your store? You see some really bad practices that are anti-SEO, that are anti that search engine optimization. And we've taken these people's stores and we've actually sat down in a hangout. Hey guys, so-and-so approached me, and kept it on the DL. And I'm not going to, mention their names. And the four of us have sat down like, hey, sit on your computer and run that, see where they're ranked, whatever. And they're falling in that best match algorithm, which is important. And they're falling just way down at the bottom. And then you start looking, and it's like, well, it's because of this and this and this. And they have good till canceled, and their stuff is stale and stagnant, and their prices are high, and their shipping's high, and their handling time. And we saw one guy that had, 10-day handling?
Yeah.
Yes.
10-day handling on a leather jacket.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
A leather jacket. And I'm like, and the guy lives in like Ohio, and it was showing me that it would get here in 2.5 weeks. And I'm like, that's just like, no. And he's like, sales have tanked ever since Cassini came along. I don't believe in all of it. And that was his theory on all of it. And it was like, you tried to kindly point out to him, no, dude, it's not a thing. Your practices just suck.
Oh,
That's not you. It's not a personal affront against you, but what you're doing is not working because it's broken.
We were looking at an item today from a seller, and the item was a decent item, and he had I thought he was a little high priced, but not terribly priced. And again, best offer means you can negotiate the price. But the shipping alone on this item, which probably would ship anywhere in the country, from anywhere else in the country for like $30, showed me $100 shipping charge. And I'm like, okay, that's a lot of money to ship an item that it's probably only worth $60 or $70. So I not only do I have to pay the $60 or $70, I got to pay $100 to ship. I mean, I actually bought something off of eBay the other day, and the shipping charges. I was making an offer, and I said, because of your price of shipping, I can only offer this much. And the seller emailed me back and said, well, shipping should only be this much. Is it showing you something different? Well, yeah, because it showed me almost $15 in shipping. And he had no idea his shipping was showing that much of a difference based apparently upon where I lived at.
I don't think people take the time, and this is something I've never really heard mentioned on the show. Go in and look at your listings, and go in and click on the shipping tab. If you're one of those people that's using calculated shipping, especially, change it to the farthest away zip code from where you actually live. Just get on the map and look for the farthest point of, like, I don't know, northeastern Maine, and go to Google and put in Maine zip code or whatever, and just find something and put that zip code in. It's not going to change it permanently. You can change it back, and go to your listings and look and see what it looks like to somebody else, or log out of your eBay account completely and go just go look. Pull up your listings on mobile. I do this on my own stuff. Pull up your listings on mobile and go, you know what? Is that mobile friendly? Wow, that's horrible. I would never buy that. Why the hell am I using Optiva? You know, or whatever it is. Or why the hell am I using, you know, all this HTML? Like, that's, you know, and it's amazing to me how many sellers that I see that have, yeah, just some stuff that they don't even, it's not that they're bad people. It's a lot of times they have stuff going on they don't even know about.
Yeah, I think that's what we found most of the time is people don't realize how bad it shows because they never go back and look at an outside or look at your own personal items. I mean, we did that with Sally. I mean, who's on the morning show. So if you're not haven't checked out the morning show, check that out every morning. Chick Picker, Thrifting Bitches are Reselling.
Are you talking about that stuffed animal?
Yeah, we're looking at a stuffed animal that should ship for $10 to $15 anywhere in the country, and to ship it to California, it was showing us her as a charge of almost $100. And it's because she had messed something up in the listing process, but because she hadn't gone back and looked at it, it was just like, this is insane. Why is it showing such a high price? And once you realize it, I mean, she changed a lot of items, you know, and I think it's probably been beneficial for her. But you got to look at your own stuff. It's like anybody else. Like I said, I worked in retail for a long time, and I was a district manager. So I would go from store to store to store, and I could walk into a store and tell whether or not their sales were good, by how clean the store was, how organized the store was, because that store manager had an idea of what customers were seeing when they walked in the store. If you walk into the store and the store is trashed, the customer saw it as trash and they didn't want to buy it. It just works out that way.
Real quick before we change the subject and quit going down that rabbit hole, Jason also came back and said, Jason Hobber said, I think buyers also change the sorting rank in many variations too, by pricing, by US only, etc. I never hear anyone discuss that. Again, it gets too complicated. Just pick well and list often. And I agree. But I agree with pick well and list often. But I do agree that there are a lot of people that buy online that are my mother's age, that are not as tech savvy, that don't know the eBay. That, you know, my mom, if she shopped on eBay, she's not going to know how to click that freaking refine and stuff like that. And my mom does use a smartphone. So I think that if you look at that, there's a good chance that a lot of your buyers aren't doing that. I do that. I think everybody on the panel does that. I click like price plus shipping lowest first, because I'm an eBay seller and I know my way around the system and I know how to do that. But I think a lot of times we lose track of the fact of what is the average housewife, the average grandmother, the average non-tech savvy. What is my father-in-law? My wife's in the other room. How does my father-in-law shop? I mean, she goes, I heard that. You know, he clicks on the shiny whatever and then he orders that. He is smart when it comes to bargain shopping. Let me rephrase that. But he's also not knowledgeable enough to know necessarily how to drill down, because tech phone stuff and websites aren't really his thing. So
well, I think basically what we've been saying since the show started is try to hit as many of those bullet points as you can. Be competitively priced, offer free shipping, because that's an option that people can click. You know, they can click only items with free shipping. They can put in their zip code. You can't really control that. But, you know, try to hit those things, those options that people can check. You can control how your listing comes up based on how many of those options you hit. It's like hedging your bet. You know, when you go to the horse track, a common practice, and this is what I do, is you bet a little bit on a bunch of different horses. You know, and that's what you're doing. You're going to go in and offer free shipping just in case somebody hits that free shipping button. You're going to make your price, you know, you're not going to shoot for the moon on too many items because people might hit that, you know, lowest plus shipping, whatever price. So, you know, try to hit a couple of different things. Don't just list just to throw it out there. Be smart about it.
There you go. And Jack Smack, in closing, said it's the same theory as to why the buy box on Amazon brings more sales, even if it's higher price. Lots of buyers are lazy, and I'll add in my own caveat, or not knowledgeable enough, and buy the first one they see. And if y'all don't know what the buy box is on Amazon, it is basically when you go to an Amazon page, it says buy now with a big button, and hidden over here is see all other offers. It's exactly the same theory in a different sort of twist with best match. You're ultimately trying to win the eBay buy box. Ooh, did I just coin a new phrase? You heard that here first. The eBay buy box.
That's why we talk about all the different things and how we check that with our Cassini research was, it wasn't to have a better listing. It was how high up can we get into that search rank. We want to be on the first page, and we want to be at the top of the first page. It's nothing about, it's getting in front of the customer's eyes the fastest way you can possibly get there. And so you want that non-savvy customers. They're like, oh, that's exactly what I want. Click, and they don't realize there might be one cheaper or closer to them or whatever down further on. They don't want to list through 10 pages of listings for the same item. They want the one that's close enough and at the price that they kind of want to pay.
We have two really good questions that we're going to get to. THDHD, we're going to get to yours in just a second, but first we had Julie V. Asked, was there ever a time, we're just going to shift gears a little bit, or we'll all talk about Cassini for 6.5 hours.
Well, we don't talk about it every day anyway.
Julie V asked, was there ever a time when your spouse's, or Jason, in your instance, domestic partner, thought I do that every show.
I know he does.
Jason has a fiance and it's a female, just for the record. So, but it's just fun to pick on him. Was there ever a time when your spouses thought you were nuts going into reselling? Did they eventually? Now I'm tickling myself. Did you ever come around? Hubby loves the ching, but hates me going to source. But if he goes to, he's good. Take him with you. Get him involved in stuff that he knows and he likes.
Yep. My wife loved.
Yep.
We turned auctions into date nights.
Yeah.
I have 6 kids. I mean, between us, we had 6 kids. So believe me, anytime we could spend alone, we would be for the business, but it was more of a date night. We would literally take food and go sit in the back of the corner of the auction house and have our little date night, and we're bidding and buying at the same time. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the difference is when you have one spouse who is busting their ass in a regular job, and they don't understand exactly what you're trying to do and how you're making money. It's like voodoo to them. They're like, you buy stuff and you sell it, and people pay money for this crap, and they haven't quite bought into it and don't really understand it. And you've got to get them to have a good understanding of what you're doing. And once the light turns on, like everybody else, when you first started selling on eBay, you didn't realize that people would buy this stuff, and then the light bulb came on for you. Once your spouse's light bulb comes on, they'll be supportive of you at that point.
Jim, you do this with, Jason, or Jim and Jason, y'all take that.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jess go to plenty of auctions and stuff. She loves it. She enjoys spending time with me, and I her. So, it's a fun experience.
Now, you guys met after you've already been doing this, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when you told her what you do, what was her initial reaction?
What in the hell?
What? Yeah,
Right.
really. What's that?
Okay.
You got to have a job.
You don't have a job
with me.
No, Ashley's always been supportive. It's she's whatever I want to do. She's like, go ahead, go for it. I've opened a cell phone store, a thrift store, bought storage units. I helped run a flea market for a little bit, and so I've done a lot of different entrepreneurial things. I sold promotional products for a while there. And she's always been like, she's always like, she always says, you know, hey, just as long as you can, you know, help out with the bills, go ahead and, you know, do what you need to do. So she didn't give me any pushback at all when I decided to close the thrift store to go to eBay. That would have been the thing that I think would come closest to like, what the hell are you doing here? But you know, it just came to that point where eBay was outselling the thrift store, and the thrift store just became a glorified warehouse that I was overpaying for. So I was like, you know, made that decision to close it, and she was like, okay, makes sense.
You worked in an i8 dealership too. Forgot Lee left that one out.
Yeah.
My favorite story is the McDonald's manager with the floating turd.
Yeah, that actually happened. Yeah, that was terrible.
That was great. I love that.
You know, I think, and this may be a little more. I think it would be harder because who asked the question? Wasn't it Julie? No,
Julie Veteran.
Julie. So if you're in, and I don't mean this in any kind of controversial way, but I think the typical American family is usually the husband is, and that's going back hundreds of years. It's not my opinion on necessarily anything, but so don't bash me. But, you know, it's typically been that the husband is the breadwinner, the wife is more the stay-at-home mom, the secondary income, stuff like that. So I think it would be a little bit difficult. You know, when you ask that question, I think it might be a little more difficult for the panel to answer versus maybe Julie V. And I don't know her situation, but if her husband is the sole breadwinner, you know, provides the main income or whatever. So there would be a little different dynamic there. I think for us, you know, Tristan, from day one, we kind of ramped up into eBay, and it just kind of came about gradually. And then we just sat down and talked one night, and she goes, I said, you know, this is working and we can do this. And she goes, you know what? All I want to do is be a stay-at-home mom, and I want to have the ability to be able to stay at home and be there when my kids come home and be there for events and take them and not have to. It's not that she didn't want to work by any means, but I want the ability to do that. If you can make this work, I support you 100%. And that right there, and that's not going to be every relationship. And it's obviously going to be a little bit different if it's flipped and, you know, the other person is more the sole breadwinner. But that for us was what made the difference. And so there was that determination, that drive within me. There was also that huge responsibility and burden on my shoulders to make it happen. And that's a huge motivator, though. When you've got a promise that you made to a spouse, or you've got kids that look to you for keeping a roof over their head and food in their mouth. I mean, that's a huge thing. So I don't know. I'm not a female, obviously. I'm not a my wife just yelled something from the living room, and I don't know what it was. Apparently I'm a female, but you know, I'm not obviously. I've always had the responsibility of the sole breadwinner. So if the situation was different, I don't know how that would have played out. If that makes sense. She said that's debatable.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, she wrote it too.
I'm every woman.
Julie said that, what she said, I wish I could get him on board. When he does go with me, he finds great stuff. You know, as long as you're putting money in the bank account, more money than you're taking out, you know, I think he'll eventually come around. I mean, it's the hardest part is when your spouse walks home and, you know, they've been busting their ass all day. They walk in and they see piles of crap, and they don't really understand the value that's coming into the household. All they see is you buying all day long, and you build up these huge piles of stuff.
I
you want to avoid that type of.
I thought you were gonna say that they see you like in your underwear, relaxed, working.
But I think positive reinforcement, and it's the same. It's even on a relationship level, not on a reselling level, but positive reinforcement with. You know, everybody wants to hear that. You know, everybody, not just spouses. I mean, everybody needs a little bit of positive reinforcement in their life. And I think with, like, if your husband is finding good stuff and he's out there doing it, you know, remember then when you list those items that he found for $1 that sold for $30 and be like, babe, holy cow, that sold. Like, you know, don't make it overly sappy and don't fake it. But, you know, go, that's pretty awesome. You know, the crap you found last week for $5 total ended up making $120. I couldn't do this without you.
Get your ass in the kitchen and make him a sandwich.
Really? That's what I get. Why do you have a bathrobe on and you're carrying your purse? She's been in the other room reading a book. Are you been in there just eavesdropping while you're reading your book?
No, not really, because I zone out when I read.
I zone out when I read. All right, so THDHD's the next question up. Asked thoughts on low hanging fruits versus higher priced items.
I love both.
Yeah, I think you got to have a mix of both.
You got a mix of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low hanging fruit is easy to find. That's what, you know, I always consider anybody who puts out a bubble about something, that's low hanging fruit. You know, that's, you know, Polaroid camera, Starbucks coffee mugs, that type of stuff. That's low hanging fruit. You get it cheap enough, you can make money on it.
But at the same time, I'll grab every Polaroid camera I can find for $1 and $2 because I know if I price it at $27.99, no best offer, free shipping, it's going to sell within 2 hours. So it's like it's a $25. I mean, minus all your fees and all that kind of stuff. But it's an easy, quick profit, and I actually get lazy enough that I go into my solds and find the last Polaroid camera, and I click sell similar, and if the model is different, I change it, or I just change out the pictures. And it literally takes me 60 seconds to list it. You know.
Yeah. And typically, if you spend more money for a good quality, high demand item, you will make more money off that item. I mean, it's just common sense. Typically, I'm not saying that. I mean, you're definitely the people that, you know, I've been one of them that you spend $7 and make $5 grand.
They followed up on the question though and said, seems like selling higher price items, quality items for more profit is easier to scale than going to the bins. It's tough to scale. If you sold Polaroid cameras and you sell items like that, yeah, it's going to be tough to scale because you're only one person with so many hours in the week and so many hours to list and so much energy.
Yeah, I mean, and Jack Smack followed up with it. It's hard to scale onesies and twosies, but if you get the low-hanging fruit by the hundreds, that's where you can scale. And I am a big proponent of, if you're making $1 or $2 on an item, but you've got 500 of them, then that's a good item.
Right.
You know, you only may make $500 or $1,000, and it may take you forever to get there. But I sold the pumice stones. I was making $1.50 on sets of pumice stones. I had 50 of them. I sold them all in a month. I mean,
I remember that. Yeah, that was great.
I'm not making a lot of money, but it was still profit coming in. It was a quick, easy sell. It took me 2 seconds to package and ship it. I wish I had more. I actually thought about sourcing them, and it just kind of got a little ridiculous to buying enough quantity to get them at a right price. But you know, don't be afraid to spend money to make money, but be smart about it. I mean,
I think that's where I see a lot of people. I think it's where a lot of people get stuck, though. They think they're going out, they're buying stuff. I'm listing. Well, if you're listing 5 or 10 items a day and you're doing that and you're kind of half, you know, I mean, if you can list 10 items a day, I mean, that's, to me, that's really nothing. I know for a lot of people starting out new and trying to figure out how to list, that might be a lot. And I think for most of this panel, that's nothing. But because we've done it long enough and we've got more streamlined in it. But you know what? The next week you need to be able to list 15 items a day or 12 items a day. If that's not moving up, then yeah, you're never going to move past X. Mm-hmm. The only variable it's a simple mathematical formula. If you list 10 items a day and a pretty average percent of them sell through each day, if that never changes, that 10 listings a day, then it's never going to go up. The only variable you can change there is how much each item sells for. So yeah, if you list 10 items a day, but they're all $300 items, I mean, hell yeah, you're going to make good money.
If you can find it on a consistent basis.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to find home runs like that on a consistent enough basis, I don't think.
But when you can't, or, you know, if you have those days you just don't like it. Today I didn't feel like listing. I listed freaking needlepoint and cross stitch books. that were left over from a larger lot where I already made all my money back off everything. I was listing single books for like $14.99 free shipping. You know what? Why? Because they were easy to list. I needed a break. I really didn't feel like listing, but I knew I needed to. And I was like, yeah, I was sitting there to hang out with Eric, and I was like, yeah, those are easy. Picture of the front, one picture of the inside, picture of the back, boom, copy somebody else's listing, done.
Yep.
You know, so there's nothing wrong with that. But if I did that every day and listed needlepoint books at $12.99, $14.99 free shipping, yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to make a living doing this.
No, I mean, you got to have a decent average selling price for each of your items. I mean, you should. I mean, I think really, I mean, I know, Dusty, yours is probably around $26, $27 an item when you get down to it, how much your average ticket is. For me, it's about the same. I'm at a little over $25 per item. So every time I sell an item, it averages out to $25. So if I sell 100 items a month, it's $2,500. It's not everything sells for $25. Not everything sells. I mean, I sell a lot of $5 items, but I sell a lot of $100 items too. So, you know, that's what you're talking about with average ticket, and that's how you drive your end of the month income. How much you actually get in your pocket. That's the number you want to increase. Is how much your average ticket sells. If you move from $25 to $26, it's a huge amount. You know, get to $30, $35, and you're making serious money.
Jeff Stanton said, magic number for 100 items listed, one will sell per day, 4,000 listings, 40 sales per day. I would disagree with that. I don't think there's a magic formula, because obviously if I put iPhone 7s on eBay for $99 a piece, you know, and I listed 4 of them and I listed 100 of them, I'd have 100 sales a day because they would sell.
Yeah.
I disagree, but I do think that I agree with you in the sense of I do think there is an exponential thing, because not everything you list, regardless of how long you have researched it, you know, it may be a good seller, but it's not going to sell right away. It's that old adage that I always go back to of, it always amazed me when people are new to Amazon FBA, they'd be like, I sent in 300 items and I had 30 great sales for like 3 days and then nothing sold. Well, that's because 90% of your items were slower moving items, or the price might have been off a little bit, or whatever variable, but there's always going to be that some sort of whatever. So I think that's going to grow. Yes, it is going to grow exponentially. I mean, I'm listing more. My sales were more here in the last 3 months or so. But at the same time, if I put everything in my store at 50% off, my sales would probably be through the freaking roof. So you can change that dynamic of that. Like, I guess he's implying there's 10% ish. And I don't think you're implying that, Jeff. He said, uneducated posting. That was for shit listings. And it's more like 80 for 1 for me. I mean, uneducated posting for sure. I think you lost me a little bit on that.
I think if you sit there and say, okay, if I have 500 items in my store and I want to average 5 items per day, that's not a bad number to look at. But if your items aren't fast movers or desirable, you may not be able to get to that 10% or 1%, whatever it is, that 5 items per day. You may only sell 3 items per day. So then you can change that dynamic by lowering your prices, making your shipping faster, or you can list more items to get more items in your store to get it up to that number you're looking for. You know, I like 3 or 4 items sales per day. That's where I like to average, because, you know, that puts me right around $90 to $100 a day.
Jason Hopper, which I got your name right twice, buddy. Said Scavenger Life. Wow. Scavenger, and I'm horrible with I'm like the worst person on this panel for a name. Jason Banana.
Yeah.
Bonanno, sorry.
Yeah.
I still pronounce his last name wrong. Scavenger said, anyhow, he said Scavenger Life said their store sales did not escalate with the same ratio as their store grew. Sales slowed. I think it might be the quick sales went fast and the long tails got longer. I'm going to tell you right now, I have looked at both their stores. I have studied both of their stores. They have not just long tail, and they're good people, and I will preface it again this week. Nothing wrong with them. They are way overpriced on a lot of their stuff. It's not just long tail. They have good stuff. They have a great eye for stuff.
Yeah.
They are so ridiculously overpriced on some of their stuff. That's why their stuff's not moving. The stuff that they see that moves immediately and moves quick is the stuff where they probably nailed about the right price range. The rest of the stuff, they're kind of doing the whole, what I call the hold and mold method. And if that's their thing, more power to them. But I don't have the storage space for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we spent a couple hours a week or two ago. We looked at the store, just really kind of looked at it, and it was definitely everything they were asking was 20 to 30%, maybe even as much as 40% over what recent sold for. Now, I don't know when they listed the items, how long they owned the items, so maybe it was priced right when they first listed it, and it's cooled off, so that they need to really think about that. And again, I said the stuff that they got is really cool stuff and some really good stuff, but they're just still, people are undercutting them every day on sales. So, but like I said, I mean, they definitely have great advice and all that. Thrift Aid said my average per item this month is $54, but I sell things for $187, $89, $100. When increasing price per item, are you selecting nothing less than $50 per listing? I don't really have a threshold for how much I'll sell something for. If I make money on it, I make money on it.
I think you need to be looking more and more. And this is a good example of going back. There was another question there that we skipped where somebody was talking about, hold on. Oh, no, it was the quote. We didn't skip it. It was THD, thoughts on low hanging fruits versus higher priced items. I think you need to constantly work on getting outside of your comfort zone. I see too many sellers stay in their comfort zone. And I've heard that from even good friends of mine that I like. I don't agree with, I want to see them succeed, but they don't want to move out of that comfort zone. They're not comfortable with, they're used to, a good example, the title of the show, like the Goodwill bins and stuff. There are some people that have made that their entire business model. It might be working for some people, but at the same time, and yeah, you can hit some home runs doing the Goodwill bins and stuff like that, but those are not the people that you ever see doing videos, for instance, that go, hey, I went to the estate sale and I paid up on this. I had to give $75 for this old vintage time clock, but you know what? It's worth $500 on eBay because they don't find that kind of stuff. So yeah, you do have to get out there and you have to pay up for stuff at some point to hit more home runs. I mean, we started out buying yard sale stuff. It was all like dollar stuff, you know?
But I think at the same time,
does anybody have any listings over a year old? Sure, I've got listings over a year old. I really don't pay attention to when things go up, but
what were you gonna say, Pam?
I was going to say, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're only looking for $50 items. I mean, if you find something in a thrift store, yard sale, flea market, whatever, that you can pay $2 for and flip it fast for 20, why wouldn't you buy that?
But at the same time, I have no problem if I walk into a place and there is a I don't know, a brand new iPhone sitting, not brand new, but let's say an iPhone that I look and I'm like, damn, this thing's $200 all day long. And they want $100 for it. I mean, is that going to be a great profit margin? No, but the sell-through rate is like 98%. If I price it at $200, that it's going to sell within an hour. Yeah, I'll grab it. That's quick freaking money, you know? It's quick. So it's just having that mix of everything. But I feel like too many people get stuck in the I would never pay that for that. I can't imagine paying that much for an item. You've got to get out of that, or you're going to have a really tough time growing.
Yeah.
Jeff Stanton said, "Okay, question. Comfort zone. As guys, what can you tell us about selling jewelry? Cheap, expensive types, etc."
What's your research show?
There's money in costume jewelry. It gets overlooked a lot. Trifari, Coro. There's a lot of different brands out there. Weiss is one that used to make rhinestone necklaces that are marked, and they're marked pretty small. And most people will be like, "Oh, it's just a rhinestone necklace." And they can bring hundreds of dollars. I steer away from Tiffany. because I can tell you right now, there is more fake Tiffany silver on the market than there probably is real, especially if you're picking it up at a yard sale and the house doesn't necessarily match the Tiffany lifestyle. Somebody that would have gone into a store and paid $500 for a bracelet or $400 for a bracelet. There's a lot of fake stuff out there. I don't know, just research. And when in doubt, if you're unsure of it being counterfeit, don't list it. That's all I got.
I would say with jewelry, I'll pick it up if it's cheap enough, but most of the time I find that I can't buy jewelry cheap enough unless I've done a little bit of research on it. So I don't really list a whole lot of it. If I get into a storage unit or something like that, I'll sell it, but I don't really mess with jewelry for the most part.
Me either.
Julie V said, I do jewelry and you had to be careful. Jason Hauber said,
Hauber. It's not that hard to say. H-A-W.
Yeah, but when you have really bad eyesight, the W and the V just looks like a whole bunch of little up and down zigzaggy marks from this far away.
It's like Charlie Brown's shirt.
It does. He said, true, I got burned on a Tiffany wedding band. Leisure Picker said, I haven't screened this comment, so Leisure Picker said if Scavenger Life stopped listing for 3 months, they'd still have good, steady money coming in all the way through. That's the kind of stability that some people want. Absolutely.
Sure, but I mean, that's what most people don't account for is what is their cost of inventory. You know, that's one of the things I'm big on is how much do you have invested in your inventory, and you have to think about that type of stuff as well. It's, you know, if you've got 7,000 items listed and your average cost is $3 an item, you got $21,000 worth of inventory sitting there. So, you know, you got that nuts. You got to meet every, you know, when you buy inventory like that. And again, I'm not discounting Scavenger Life. They're very successful. They've done a great job. You know, I'm just saying that, you know, perhaps they could do better, but they're happy doing what they want. That's fine. I'm not gonna tell them how to do their job. That's their thing. I mean, I'm just offering my opinion of their store. Hell, they want to come look at my store, be my guest, tell me what I'm doing wrong. I don't really care. I'll take advice.
Blackberry Thistle Tea said they must be doing something right. They own 3 houses. Probably so. They also do have outside careers that bring in really good money as well. So anyhow, enough of them. But I think for me, it's what I want personally. Is I want an inventory that moves so fast that I can keep it in this 14 by 14 room. I don't want to outgrow this room. We've talked about it. I have a warehouse that's 20 miles away. I don't want the going down there. It's used for listing, for storage stuff, and then I bring everything that's listed back here. Some people don't mind having to go. Nikki, it's on the morning show. She keeps stuff in storage units until she gets a building built. But, you know, and she doesn't mind. Well, I don't think she likes it, but she has to go down to a storage unit. I don't want that. I don't, you know, and I don't think she wants that either. I want all my inventory in one place. There are people that are okay with pricing things higher and letting it sit and having massive inventory in bankers boxes and systems of things to where they have so much inventory that they literally, I don't want an inventory system. I want a manageable business within my own means that works with my brain type, because my brain type just won't do an inventory system and multiple warehouses and things like that. And so I think for me, that's where it comes in. Like, I would rather price at a price and move it quickly to have the inventory flipping over versus sitting getting stale.
Yep.
And it's to each his own, you know. Some people love it. There's some people, Jim Bennett might be happy with having, you know, his new house that he's going to move into and a garage to work out of and a building out back and his warehouse down the street, and then he has all his leftovers in a storage unit over here on the side or whatever, and that might work for him. That won't work for me. That'll drive me insane. So it's finding your own limitations and your own stuff.
I'm happy with, I mean, I dropped down to about 300 listings after cleaning out my inventory for eBay, and now I'm up to about 360. I'm selling, you know, 6 to 7 items a day, and I'm struggling to keep up with that pace, and that's kind of how I like it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, inventory turns is the key to having a very nice, consistent income coming in. Is the faster you turn your inventory, the faster you're getting your money out of it.
Yeah.
You know, but if somebody's got 3,000 or 4,000 listings and they're packaging, I mean, because I know Tara has in the morning show, she's got over 2,000 listings, and she's doing 30, 40 packages a day. Great, it works for them.
But she's also two people, and that's where it's not all a one side. And she has a husband that loves creating stuff, you know, and not every, I mean, that's awesome. But that's where it's not a one size fits all. They also live on a farm where they have cows and they have a building out back that's already available to them, where they can maybe, I don't know if they keep their inventory out there, but let's say they do. But I think if you get to the point where you're just having to add on buildings and buildings and buildings and you can't keep up, I mean, then you should be moving your inventory faster than that. You know, a grocery store or a Dollar General down the road is a static. It's a fixed square footage, and they don't add on to the building. Like I've mentioned this before on shows. They don't add on to the building every single time. They go, no, what can we do? Okay, let's get rid of the slower moving products. Let's clear this shelf out. Back to why they have planograms and slotting fees and things like that. They're constantly tweaking that. We've got to run this business. This business needs to make us X amount of dollars within this set confined space. And whatever that set confined space is different for everybody. Me personally, it needs to be a 14 by 14 room with now the ability to be blessed enough to have a great warehouse space for the stuff that I'm going to get to that's really cheap and really doesn't cost us peanuts. And then as that gets listed, bring it in here and replace the stuff, the empty spots of stuff that's sold, put new stuff on the shelves that's listed. That makes me comfortable, you know.
yeah.
Yep. Everybody has a comfort level they got to deal with. Sorry, Corporal Cole.
Coleco.
Coleco, it's all run together. There's no
Yeah.
space. Corporal Coleco said,
Overpriced and use markdown manager. Is that what you were going to read?
I don't like that person. I don't like when people put something on and then immediately run a 50 or 60% off sale. I think that's just kind of cheesy.
I tuned into another live show the other day, and I saw where somebody thanked the host for giving the advice of mark up your stuff and then run a big sale. It's like, holy crap, that's the worst advice in the world.
Yeah. Buyers are smart enough. Buyers are smart enough to realize. I mean, they're used to seeing overinflated retails, and people aren't going to fall for that. If you're going to do a sale, do a genuine sale. You know, realize if you have $1 in your items and they're all priced at $30, run a 40% off sale. You know, so what? They're $18. Are you still going to make any money? You're going to turn $1 into $18. That's better than the damn stock market. You know.
Jack Smack, didn't you guys theorize that Cassini dings listings like that, ones that mark up and then discount with a sale?
I don't know if it actually sees it like that, but I just think if you're pricing, if you're selling, you know, a widget and everybody else has it listed for $15 and you have it listed for $30 to 50% off, I don't think you've accomplished anything.
No.
So that's kind of what I talk about when I hate that. Now, if you have it listed for $19.99 and you've got it for 25% off and put you at $14.50, I think that's a little bit more realistic. Yeah, you might be a little higher price, but you've left some room for offer pricing, and then you've left some sale pricing room in there. There's nothing wrong with that. I think we all subscribe to that practice.
Right.
But yeah, doing it where your sale price puts you right in line with everybody else, that's where I get to the cheesy factor. I just like, yeah, okay, you're not fooling anybody at this point.
Right.
You know, you're better off, you know, like I said, you're better off, you know, cutting the price down to a realistic price and then putting it on sale, and then you're the top guy at that point. That makes more sense to me.
Sorry, my dog is snoring.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. And it's making me tired.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I was looking at earlier on the show, so I'm good.
What was funny about that guy in that chat is his big complaint was, well, if I mark it up 40% and I discount it back down 40% when my sale is done, my pricing's all messed up. Like, math is a real big issue for this guy. Like, just just don't do it. Like, if you can't figure out the numbers behind it, then don't do it. Like, just LV Looper, I must really have a good microphone. My microphone stinks, and it always goes up to 100, and I can't figure out how to keep it back down at a reasonable
Tim's microphone will pick up somebody driving down the street with the radio on. We can hear the music pretty clearly. It's about that clear. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Smack said he knows somebody else that uses the double price than 50%.
Yep, that's the guy I was watching too.
Guys, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick, and people don't. That's an old gimmick that's kind of a has been.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work on your average consumer anymore. They know, and that's actually been the source. That's actually been was it Kohl's or somebody? I mean, a couple companies have gotten in trouble for that recently. Not that you're necessarily going to get in trouble as an eBay seller, knock on wood, but I think that the point being that consumers are smarter. They're not going to fall for that same old song and dance. And I mean, and I don't understand what's the point. So your items at $75. So you're going to mark it up to 100 to put it 50% off to make it 50. Why not put it? I don't know what the 30% off would make it $22.50 off. It'd bring it down to about the same. Why not just put it 33% off? Get it down to the same price. 33%. I mean, people, that's still a good sale. I think there's a point though where you can go 50% off. I think that sends a message to your buyer too that something may be wrong with the item. If you see something that's drastic, I mean, think about it. As a consumer, if you walk in, unless it says clearance, but as a consumer, don't think with your reseller brain, think with your consumer brain for a second. If you walk into the grocery store and they got, roast beef for 50% off, aren't you going to be a little curious why the roast, like, what's wrong with this roast beef? And I think consumers are just, once again, consumers are smarter than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horrible business practice.
It is.
And it's not going to work on eBay.
Sleazy.
Nikki gets it right off the bat. Who has the time to go in and raise prices and then put it on sale?
Nikki's still here. Yeah, no doubt. And Jack Smack said, basically put, hold on. I got to scroll back up because that was worthy. Basically, if that dude, I use that term very loosely, does it, then it's a good idea to not do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. And this isn't a junk talk about other resellers and stuff, but I think there comes a point though where I don't know. We said it last week. I don't want to be a dead horse again, but you've got 4 people sitting here on this panel that provide a full-time living with no other outside income. Well, Eric, you do get a little supplemental for your son, but basically with no outside income, who are making it work. Some of us with kids, some of us not with kids, spouses, families, stuff like that, and we're making it work, and we're doing it pretty much 100% off of reselling. And I think that speaks volumes. So just be careful who you watch and what I don't. Yep.
All right. I
I
think we're going to end the show here because my dog's sleeping and snoring and I can't get her to go away.
Kicker.
No.
Oh, here comes the PETA people. I'm kidding.
I have sprinkled her with water a couple of times though.
I did. He poured Zima on your dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait,
Right.
Before we go, Jim, what's the deal with your little new icon with this Obama sitting on a pizza in leotards, whatever? What is that?
I just searched for the most random picture and different, I scroll down and find one that I think is going to get somebody to go, what the hell is this guy doing? And it's worked. I mean, the last, however long I've been doing it, like the last, I don't know, 6 weeks or so, there's always one comment in there like, I clicked on this just because of that thumbnail.
Because I thought I was going to get to see Nicolas Cage in a banana inside a banana.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll end it there, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Anybody have any parting shots before I stop this?
Don't
Party
drink
shot.
as much as I did.
Don't drink as much as. Yeah.
Smoke.
Yeah. Look for, if you live in Alabama, look for maybe some meetups coming this summer. Jim will ever get his ass down here.
Yeah. After June.
Yeah. And they'll be somewhat pre-announced. I mean, today was kind of impromptu. I mean, we could probably give like 2 or 3 days notice for those that actually wanted to travel a couple hours or whatever. But yeah, if you live in this area, it'd be kind of fun, just kind of doing a regular thing.
Yeah.
Make it a regular thing. And you don't have to drink to come to them, but if not, you can drive me home.
That's great.
You could be my Uber.
He's free Uber.
That's right. You get me drunk enough, I'll just take you to the warehouse and you can load your car full of stuff for driving me home. That's all I got.
All right. Jim, where do you live? Jersey? No, I don't live in Jersey. I'm from Jersey. Probably tell by the accent, but I don't live there currently. I'm currently in North Carolina, heading to Alabama in June.
How you doing?
Yeah, how you doing? I'm a Jersey Shore guy, so that doesn't even work. Like, we don't even do that. But
Jim often rips off his shirt in the middle of hangouts and walks around with his shirt on.
I do, and I push my boobs together for the fellas.
When you get here, I'm gonna introduce you to wife beaters. We're gonna get you a couple of tank tops.
No, I'll never do it.
Undershirt type thing, the Fruit of the Loom ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I scream Jersey. I bet I do. Yeah.
Jim, you gonna wear flip flops?
No. Absolutely not. I lived in Florida for a few years, and no, we're not doing
And
that
wore
stuff.
tennis shoes along with the rest of the 90-year-olds in Florida.
That's what I wear like all the time. I'm always in a pair of Nikes. And like the cheap ones. I don't buy the expensive shit. And I wear the same 5 shirts every week. Like we've discussed my fashion sense on previous shows, but yeah. All right, guys.
The fashion sense. The rest of us gave up that train a long time ago.
It's not fashion sense. It's wearing what fits. Yeah. All right, guys. We're gonna end it here. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. If you stayed the whole time, I don't know.
Freaking amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Peace.